Ladies and gentlemen, here this afternoon we are live as cars are just now getting onto the racetrack for the running of today's Kansas Lottery 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series at the Kansas Speedway. It is going to be an interesting race to say the least as we come into this one here today. It is going to be down to two drivers for that final playoff spot on points. 1 point is the difference between them. Those two drivers, of course, I'm talking about Riley Herbst and Parker Kligerman coming into the standings today. Here's a look at what the playoff grid looks like. It's also a good race for the regular season championship that we'll have to watch between Austin Hill, John Hunter Nemechek, and Justin Allgaier as well. But most importantly, again, that playoff bubble battle right now. Riley Herbst, 1 point to the good to start today's race, and it looks like Parker Kligerman, again, is only minus 1 point. Must-win situations also for Brandon Jones, Brett Moffitt, Parker Retzlaff, Kaz Grala, Ryan Sieg, and others further back in the points standings. As for the drivers who are racing for the regular season title today, Austin Hill, John Hunter Nemechek, and Justin Allgaier are those three drivers. Hill comes in with the points lead, 23 points ahead of John Hunter Nemechek, and Justin Allgaier is 33 points out of first and 10 points out of second. As for the other drivers who aren't locked in on points, but can lock themselves in here through the first stage or two, Sheldon Creed, Daniel Hemrick are 56 and 55 points above the cutoff line, as long as they are 50 points above the 98 or the 48 in the point standings, one or the other. Following stage one, they will be locked in. So 5 or 6, actually it looks like 4 stage points for Sheldon Creed in the first stage, and Daniel Hemrick would just need 5 stage points in stage 1, and they will be locked in. If they can't do it there, we'll see if they can lock themselves in throughout the course of the race. Kind of similar to what we saw in the elimination race for the round of 10 for the Truck Series last night, where Carson Hocevar locked himself in after winning stage 2. As for the race today, we'll go through the starting lineup for the Kansas Lottery 300 as it looks like this. Justin Allgaier going to be on the pole, outside looking in to try to win that regular season championship, but we'll see if he can get it done. And Sammy Smith will start on the outside of the front row in second. Cole Custer, Brandon Jones will be in row 2. We mentioned Jones in a must-win situation. One of his better tracks. We'll see if he can do it today. Daniel Hemrick in the 10 car this weekend for Colleague Racing instead of the number 11, but still running for Colleague. And it looks like Josh Berry will be in the outside lane of him in row 3. Berry is the only driver locked into the playoffs on points as we stand coming into the race today. John Hunter Nemechek and Riley Herbst will start in row number 4 for this one. Nemechek again trying to keep Allgaier behind him in points and outscore Austin Hill by 23 points to get the additional 15 playoff points for winning that regular season title. And Riley Herbst 1 point to the good for that final playoff spot at the drop of the green flag. Austin Hill, who's 23 points ahead in the regular season points lead right now, will be on the inside of row 5. And Brett Moffitt, who is in a must-win situation today to make the playoffs, in the outside lane of row 5. Joe Graf Jr. taking over the 19 car this weekend, as he has for a handful of races already this season for Joe Gibbs Racing. And Chandler Smith for Colleague Racing, the rookie, will be on the outside of row 6. Sam Mayer and Ryan Sieg will be in row number 7 in this one. Mayer still looking for his first win on an oval in the Xfinity Series. Parker Kligerman and Sheldon Creed will be in row 8. Parker Kligerman, again, 1 point to the negative to start the race today. Needs to beat the 98 by just 1 point. As for behind them, Jeb Burton, Derek Kraus will be in row 9. We'll see Burton in the playoffs starting next week at Bristol. Of course, he won at Talladega this spring. Kyle Weatherman, Connor Mosack will be in row number 10. Jeremy Clements, Raja Karuth in row number 11. Row number 12 is going to be... Sorry, I was looking at some of the other race stats to my left. Jeremy Clements, Raja Karuth, row 11. Ryan Ellis, Josh Williams, row 12. Dawson Cram, Parker Retzlaff in row 13. Matt Mills will make a start in the 53 car on the inside of row 14. Leland Honeyman to his outside. Kyle Sieg, Nick Lights will be in row 15. Kaz Grala starting deep in the field along with Anthony Alfredo in row 16. Row 17 is going to be Brennan Poole and Garrett Smithley. Blaine Perkins, Joey Gase in row 18. Mason Massey, and CJ McLaughlin will round out the 38-car field today at row 19. So that is your full field running order rundown before we get to the start of the race today. Stage splits, 45, 45, and 110 laps for the 3 stages today, so no required pit stops in each of the first 2 stages under green flag conditions, but they will be pitting at stage ends. And obviously, if we get a late caution in the stage, that can split strategy as well. Final stage, they will have to make a pit stop as the fuel window is 55 to 60 laps. Pit road speed at 45 miles per hour as well for today's race. Sorry for the start time kerfuffle that we had there. The original start time was 3 o'clock on the NASCAR app and the NASCAR website. So that's why I told you guys yesterday at the end of the Truck Series stream and last week that the stream was going to start at 3, but then they ended up not starting in at 3, and they weren't going to start until after 3:30. So that's why I moved the start time back on the stream a half hour late as of like 5-10 minutes before 3 o'clock. I realized that I'm like, oh, Countdown to Green's on at 3. I don't know why the app or the website was off. I haven't had that problem so far this season, but better late than early, and I end up missing the start, so that's good. So I wanted to wait until 3:30 before we got things kicked off here. But it looks like they are about to go green this time by as the field works their way, I believe, into turns 3 and 4. Justin Allgaier has elected the outside lane for the start here. Sammy Smith will be on the inside of row 1. Inside lane was the preferred lane in the Truck Series race last night of the race start, so interesting to see Allgaier take the outside as a control car here out of the gate. Billy Kramer, Wade Selinsky, Joanne C., Terry Lewis, Robert Perkle, Sherry Hicks, and Superpan. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys watching here. As the green flag is in the air, we are racing at Kansas for the NASCAR Xfinity Series regular season finale. 2 and 3 wide into the first turn in the top 10. One car smoking at the back of the pack. Somebody else in the wall in the first turn as Anthony Alfredo's got smoke, pouring out from the back of his race car. Looks like the left front fender is rubbing on the tire. Caution is out already. Lap 1, turn 1, we have an early incident between Kyle Sieg and Anthony Alfredo. Actually, that is Nick Lights in the 38 car this week. Kyle Sieg is running the dog running through the house. Kyle Sieg's in the 29 car this weekend. So very early caution. Not sure exactly how that started. It's at the very back of the pack. Somebody got squeezed into the wall. Looked like the 38 moved up in front of the 78. Wasn't clear. Turned himself into the wall into turn 1. And that was not even really into the corner. They weren't even in the process of having to make the turn and arc the car off to make turn 1 yet before they ended up crowding each other into the wall. That looked to be all on the 38. I don't know what that was all about, but to have that on lap 1, turn 1 at the very back of the pack, you hate to see it. As you see, 2 cars are already tore up as a result. Bond 1771, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so I had a series of softball games this morning about 45 minutes south of me, closer to where I work. But even then, it was like 10-15 minutes more south of where I work. So it usually takes me like 35 minutes to get there. And our last game got done, and I knew I was going to be back in time. I actually got back here at like 2:55, so that's why I didn't set the actual stream start time back another half hour until then. But I did see that for whatever reason, Countdown to Green was at 3 and not the actual race. We do go live a little bit earlier for the Cup races for prediction's sake, but not with the Truck or the Xfinity Series. Looking forward to this race. Yeah, Truck Series race was a thriller last night. I don't know how many of you guys are returning viewers from last night's stream, but we had a whale of a finish. You can actually see the finish uploaded on the channel, both with my commentary synced with the actual replay of the race. So hope to be getting back into that more here over the rest of this season. As long as we, of course, still have some classic and solid finishes like that, because that was a pretty fun one to watch. Still hoping Creed gets his first win. We'll see. Starting mid-pack today. I don't know if today's going to be the day for him. I'll put a poll in the chat real quick. And ask you guys who will win today's NASCAR Xfinity Series regular season finale at Kansas. Throw, obviously, other in there with Justin Allgaier being on the poll. We will put Josh Berry and John Hunter Nemechek in there. Very pretty good at these style of mile-and-a-half racetracks, Vegas, Kansas. I'm taking Justin Allgaier to win today. Taking Allgaier to win, Austin Hill to win the regular season title, and I'm gonna take Parker Kligerman for that final spot. Riley Herbst and that 98 team has been struggling mechanically a lot over the last month or so, which have really dropped him as far back in points as he was. And he was actually net negative going into last week's race, but now he's +1, so he did a great job making it up. But I still have more faith in that 48 team as far as just trying to make it to the end of the race without any major issues, more so than the 98. So those are my predictions for this race today. Took Grant Enfinger in the truck race last night. That didn't work out for me too well. He didn't have as much speed as I thought he would. He dominated the race in the spring, and not the case last night. Doesn't look like they've got the one-to-go signal yet. I think they will be getting it this time by, as the field is just now working their way off of turn 4. Already lap 4 have yet to complete a green flag lap with that caution coming out towards the back of the pack in on turn 1. Again, that was between the 38 and the 78. Anthony Alfredo and Nick Lights. Lights is 2 laps down. He had a lot more significant damage to his car than Alfredo, although Alfredo's left front fender bashed in just a little bit. Into the choose rule, Allgaier going to take the outside lane once again. Both Allgaier and Smith were side by side still through 1 and 2 when the caution flag came out. Allgaier scored as the race leader through the last time in his scoring loop, so he'll get the lane choice first this time by being the leader. And again, elects the outside, which is surprising considering the inside lane was the lane to go in the Truck Series race yesterday. Two over today for 18. That's awesome. Great job, man. It's a great round. Dale Oplinger, thanks for tuning in, as well as Jeff Sperry. Women's names on the cars of cancer survivors. Breast cancer survivor. That's awesome. They doing that today, or is that for October, for Breast Cancer Awareness Month? I didn't see that. I know they usually do something, like they had like pink window nets and stuff last couple of years. The races in the month of October. NASCAR Vintage 17, thanks for tuning in. Some pink paint schemes out on the racetrack too from time to time. Once again, the race is on your main NBC and local affiliate, for anybody wondering. Through the Geico restart zone, green flag is back in the air. And we'll see if we can get a green flag lap in this time. Justin Allgaier, a much better start in the outside lane. Brandon Jones thinking about pulling to the bottom to go 3 wide underneath the 18. And not going to beat the 18 of Sammy Smith down into the corner. One car backing way out of the throttle in that middle lane, getting split 3 and nearly 4 wide off the exit of turn 2 in the middle of the pack. Austin Hill trying to forge his way forward on the bottom as well. Brandon Jones going to lose a couple positions from the inside of row 2. It looks like he's going to be battling with Hemrick for the 6th place position off turn 4. Josh Berry as well as Cole Custer got by him to the outside. And Custer actually gets by to 2nd place as he passed Sammy Smith through turns 3 and 4 as well. Custer back to the outside lane. Allgaier in the lead, running the bottom. Outside, definitely the more preferred lane if you can run up there, especially as this race wears on and the rubber begins to build on the outside, creating a slight bit more grip. But Custer seems to be making up ground on Justin Allgaier. We'll see if Allgaier is going to move his lane to the top eventually. Sammy Smith to the bottom, almost got back to the inside of Custer, but Custer carries a lot more momentum now down the front stretch. Battle between the 98 and the 48 on the racetrack already as they are nearly side by side for the lead. Herbst, who started 8th, is already back to 14th. And, of course, Kligerman, who started 14th, right there with him in the 15th place position. Not a good couple of restarts for Riley Herbst. 1 point is the difference again between Herbst and Kligerman, both outside of position to get stage points in the early going of the race as we have roughly 33 laps to go. Make that 37 laps to go in stage 1. John Hunter Nemechek to the inside of his teammate Sammy Smith as they'll run door-to-door for the third-place position on turn 4. Nemechek cuts all the way to the apron and as close to the grass as he can get to try to undercut the front stretch as much as possible, taking that shortcut, and he is going to be able to slide up clear of Sammy Smith off turn 2. Sam Mayer going 3 wide middle between the 98 and the 48 now as they continue their battle on. Actually, they kind of split around Mayer as they move up to 13th and 14th place on the grid. Mayer dropping backwards. While his JRM teammates, the other 3, all of them inside the top 6. Kligerman again trying to get to the inside of Herbst. Putting a lot of pressure on him. Herbst with a great run off that outside lane is going to charge by the 16 of Chandler Smith. Parker Kligerman moving into the top lane right behind Herbst. Backing it up a little bit more in the center of the corner as it seemed like Herbst really got in a lot deeper, got it to stick versus Kligerman and gapped him by a few car lengths. Brandon Jones going to shoot by Josh Berry for the 5th place position on the racetrack. Kligerman falling back again as he has another bit of a moment there in turns 3 and 4. Gets split 3 wide. He was in the middle, similar to what happened to Sam Mayer a couple laps ago with Kligerman and Herbst. And now Kligerman loses a spot to Sam Mayer. He does get back by the 16 car on the front stretch as it looks like Chandler Smith is struggling in the early laps of this race. Already to lap number 11 here is Justin Allgaier as let them roll.
A few spots here, guys. You hear the throttle. Just not able to fully commit on corner exit.
Team built him a new car for this race and the rest of the season. Parker was hoping that it would be the best car that they have built up to this point.
Yeah, rarely do we see brand new cars in the Xfinity Series, a little bit lower budget than the Cup teams on Sunday. But when you hear new, it's not just fresh, it's all the little things. Everything you've learned over the year, you can kind of implement from the start. You would hope it just has more capability. Not that it drives better, it's just when it's a little loose or it's a little tight, it just naturally goes faster, more overall grip.
Hear him having to play with the throttle there as he came out of 4.
I think this is a difficult time, Junior, for all the caution on the track. Yeah, debris.
There it is. So already the second caution has come out 12 laps into this race.
A couple of pieces right there on the racetrack.
What the caution means, a restart. We'll see how it goes. There's a little bit of the debris that came off the car. We'll have a restart.
Looks like the left front tire blew out on Anthony Alfredo Chevrolet. Of course, he was involved in that first incident, and that's where the main point of emphasis was on the damage side of things for Alfredo's race car from that lap 1 crash. And looks like the left front has gone down as they did not pull out the fenders well enough, and that has caused debris to be laid down in multiple spots in turns 3 and 4, and then the entrance to pit road as well. So that is why we are under caution for the second time today, and for the second time, the 78 of Alfredo is one of the culprits. Got the Michigan game on in the background there. See, that's what's nice about this setup is that I have the race right here, give you guys the commentary, and then from time to time I kind of glance behind me and check the score of the Michigan game. So it works out. I'll be doing that with the Packers game tomorrow while I have the live commentary stream going for you guys. A little easier for me to score track that way. The whole month, yeah, I would think that it probably would be. Creed has a woman's name on his car. Is it for all the teams, or is it just for him, for today's sake? Could be some sort of ties as well that could be, maybe with whoever's name is on his car with RCR or Creed's family, potentially. I don't know that for sure. We're up to 29 likes on the stream right now, about 65 concurrent viewers, very early going of this race. Once again, be sure to vote for who you think will win today's race. 21 votes have been casted so far. Christian Eckes won last night's race, but nobody picked him to win outside of the 3 people that we did have. And he was one of the votes to potentially pick from. I didn't pick him to win the race either. But he did get the win. led just the last 2 laps of that race, 3 wide on that final green-white checker restart for pretty much the entirety of those 2 laps. Great battle between Eckes, Heim, and Zane Smith there down the stretch. So Justin Allgaier has led every lap so far today. Don't expect there to be pit stops once again during this caution in the first stage. This race is 100 laps longer in length than last night's Truck Series race, so we will have an extra set of tires and an extra pit stop to go along with it, but nobody pitting this early in the run. Championship race for the NTT IndyCar Series tomorrow at 2:30 on your main NBC affiliate, also on Peacock. So we'll be racing at Laguna Seca. Crazy that their final race of the season is this early in the year. I thought they usually had their final race like at the end of the month or maybe early October. I don't remember it being like this early in the season, second week of September. Well, I guess technically it'd be the third week of September next week. Labor Day was very early in the month. Team communications going on here for Herbst's race team. Again, the battle for that last playoff spot right now between Parker Kligerman and Riley Herbst. Herbst in 12th, Kligerman currently 15th. 1 point separates them with the 98 ahead of the 48 by 1 point coming into the race. So as we run right now, it'd be a 3-point difference in the positioning order, which means it's a 4-point difference total. Kligerman would have to beat Herbst to tie him. Beat him by 1 point. We'll see if Herbst can get back inside the top 10 before the end of this first stage. He had a couple of bad restarts there that put him back to about 15th and had to try to charge back up to 12th place, started pulling away from Parker a little bit. We'll see if he could be in the correct lane this time. Not sure what lane of the racetrack he would have started in. That second time obviously would have been in the outside lane. The first time was starting in 8th. Which hasn't been firing off quite as well as the inside lane, at least through the truck race last night. It's been pretty even, it seems like, top to bottom, at least in the front couple rows through the first 2 launches through that restart zone we've had so far this afternoon. Strange. I don't know if that's tape or a piece of debris or something that's sticking up on the splitter of that 7 car of Justin Allgaier. Kind of middle center between the halfway point of the grill, if you were to cut the bow tie in half on the Chevy, and then where the left front fender is, there's something sticking out, and it's hard to tell exactly what that is. I don't know if that's... It doesn't look like it's tape. It looks like a piece of sheet metal. I would imagine that's probably going to affect him aerodynamically. And you also got to hope that if it falls off, that it doesn't just go straight under the car and potentially cut a tire down. If he runs that over, same goes for other cars further back in line behind him. A couple of lengthier cautions here in the early going as far as amount of caution laps they are running. Still have not gotten the 1 to go signal yet. We'll wait to see if they give it to him this time around. We'll have 2 diecast showings for today's race, both at the end of Stage 2 like normal and then at the end of Stage 1 because I did not get one in last night. So we've got that to look out for during the stage breaks. Justin Allgaier, 50% of the votes so far through the 23, make that 24, 25, 26, 27 votes. That was quick. 27 votes. Had like 4 or 5 votes there right in the middle of me talking about it. Appreciate you guys voting. Be sure to vote. We'll close that at the end of Stage 2, per usual. Michigan State games on Big Ten Network. They struggled mightily last week. I thought they were going to lose to Central Michigan last Friday night. Like it was bad. Wasn't it like 7-3 at halftime or something like that? But man, they're kind of in trouble. It did not look good. I didn't really watch the game. I was just kind of score tracking it, but Central Michigan's not that good. Apparently neither is Michigan State. Kind of haven't been the last few years. Thought October. That would make sense. That's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Pick Christian. It was a good pick. Yeah, there was a couple of people saying last night that they had money on him. It's hard for me to put money on the truck in Xfinity races. I've done it very few times this year. Usually if I do it, it's because I pick a Cup regular to win that I potentially feel more confident about. Got one of the colleagues' Chevys pulling into the garage already. Problems with Chandler Smith's race car. He definitely was fading there in the early laps. Can't remember exactly where he qualified, but he was dropping like a rock during that last green flag run, and unfortunately they're underneath the hood of the race car, and something seems to be wrong mechanically. So, once again, Chandler Smith has retired from the race today. He's very strong on these mile-and-a-half tracks early in the season. Not as much during the summer months. He's kind of taken a step back, much like Sammy Smith in the 18 as well. Sammy came to play today, though, at least in the top 5 early on. Doesn't seem to have anything for those 3 cars that are in front of him right now, but that could change depending on what kind of setups that team makes throughout the course of the race. Pace car back down onto pit road once again. We'll be at lap 19 this time by, which will officially have us with 27 laps to go in the first stage. Green flag back in the air. Justin Allgaier on the outside for the 3rd straight restart. Brandon Jones stacking up that outside lane in row 3. Hemrick going to move to the middle lane. 3 wide now into turn 1, back around 6th place. Side by side for the race lead as well between Allgaier and Custer on that front row. Custer on the bottom lane, not able to get going. Contact a little further back right around Riley Herbst, who got stalled out behind the 25 car of Brett Moffitt. Herbst trying to play defense into turn 3 as he cuts off the 26 Sam Hunt Racing Chevy and now overdrives the entry to turn 3, and he goes backwards another spot or 2 in the middle of turns 3 and 4, so Herbst losing more positions. Trouble on the front stretch. One car's around hard into the outside wall. It looks like Sam Mayer in the 1. The 91 piles into him as well as a caution flag is out for the 3rd time already in stage 1. Sam Mayer has compacted the outside wall pretty significantly. And the 91 also compacting the back of the 1 car, more so the right side of his race car. More damage to the 91 than the 1. Kyle Weatherman definitely going to be knocked out of the race, but there's a very good chance Sam Mayer might have to retire from the race as well. Not sure how it started, but we saw the finish of it, and it did not look pretty. A lot of other cars were able to escape down to the bottom. A couple cars going through the grass to try to miss the accident, not knowing exactly how far down those cars were going to travel down the banking of the tri-oval. And Justin Allgaier continues to lead under caution in the race today. Still really yet to see who's got the fastest cars. We haven't really had a green flag run longer than 6 or 7 laps. Contact off turn 4 between Sam Mayer and Sheldon Creed. Creed got squeezed into the outside wall. Mayer was underneath him. So there's quite a bit of damage on that 2 car as well. And then it looked like somebody else got in the wall a little bit further back in the field off turn 4 as well behind them as they were all trying to check up. Everybody went to the bottom. 91 couldn't get to the bottom in time and smoked the right side of Mayer's race car. He had it slowed down quite a bit before the contact, but still hit it hard enough to obviously put a huge hole in that radiator and has definitely knocked him out of the race. 3 cautions in the first 18 laps. Very slow start to this Kansas Lottery 300 so far today. Michigan just scored. Who is it? Blake Corum? 3-yard touchdown. There we go. That's my second leg of my parlay already. Let's go. All right. Needed him to get a touchdown. I needed Colorado to win earlier, which has happened, and I need the Baltimore Ravens to win against Houston tomorrow and bring home, what was that, I think $124? I will take that. Early and often. Stanley C. Panther, thanks for tuning in. 3:52 a.m. there. From China. Awesome. You on vacation or you live there? Greetings from over there in Asia. Xfinity race on NBC and Peacock. Yes, it is. Georgia Bulldogs fan? Yeah, they had a pretty easy matchup today, too. It's like a lot of the good teams against these bad teams early, they seem like they kind of struggle in the first quarter a little bit, and they don't really get off and running until they get to like early second half or late second quarter before they start to pile on points. That was kind of the case for Michigan last week. There are a lot of teams. Ohio State was kind of like that today from what I saw. There's people at the softball game, because there's a lot of Ohio State fans around where I live in Northwest Ohio, so they were kind of watching the game in between innings. People had it going on their phones while we were in the dugout. Yep. Too many cautions already. This is true. You have 3 cautions in the first 18 laps of the race. Way more laps ran under yellow than green so far in the early going. Average race speed is a very, very slow 79.74 miles per hour. So it is definitely not quick. And this is looking to be about a 2.5 to 3 hour Xfinity race today at this pace we're running right now. Going to be in for a long afternoon. All these early cautions. The 48 of Parker Kligerman, the 98 of Riley Herbst have stayed out of it. Herbst is very lucky to have not gotten into an accident earlier in that lap, as there was a lot of commotion going on in front of him with the 25 car slowing up as he had checked up in the middle of the corner. And then the 25 got ran into by the 21 of Austin Hill, which kind of sent him a bit sideways. Great job by Moffitt hanging on to the race car and not making contact with anybody else. In the process of that, the 98 kind of got bottlenecked as he got hit from behind as well, and that's why he got stuck behind Moffitt and ended up having to slow down with him. Lost a handful of positions, dropping in Herbst back from 12th to 15th on the restart, and Parker Kligerman going from 15th to 9th as he missed everybody in that outside lane. So now Kligerman's in position to potentially get stage points here in stage 1. Herbst does not, even though it looks like Herbst has a slightly better car. Herbst has just not had great luck in the restarts in the early going of this race, so with having quite a few of them, that has helped Parker Kligerman out immensely. Now, it shows 9 points to the good for Kligerman right now. That is basing it off of where he is in the running order, and with this being stage 1, NBC's score tracker, the way they track the points, it shows 9 points to the good, even though technically as we run, he would only be 5 points to the good. It's predicting him to finish 9th in Stage 1 and Stage 2, because Herbst isn't in the top 10 yet to get stage points. That's why the increment, maybe if you're watching NBC, you're wondering, why is it a 9-point difference? I thought they were only 1 point apart from each other coming into the day. That would be why. So Herbst has time to still get back up there. There's also time for Kligerman to move backwards a couple spots and maybe not even get stage points at all in this first stage. Dawson Cram going to come to pit road from the 18th place position. I'm not sure if he had damage from that last restart, but he's coming into pit road, and nobody else inside the top 20 came to the pit lane that time with pit road open. These guys only have about maybe 10 green flag laps on their tires at the very most. They might even have less than that. Honestly, I think they have less. Caution at lap 1, 12, and 18 so far. The longest green flag run would have been from like lap 7 to lap 12. So, I mean, we've maybe had 5 green flag laps in the first 23 laps of this race. We already have 4 cars out of the race today. Sam Mayer, Kyle Weatherman, Nick Lights, and Chandler Smith have all pulled into the garage. Now, Chandler Smith was a mechanical issue, and it was not necessarily a crash that put him out. And we still have damaged cars that are obviously on the racetrack, like Anthony Alfredo, who's been involved in 2 incidences. Sheldon Creed, who kind of was involved in that last incident before the one of Mayer went spinning underneath him. Quite a bit of damage to the left rear fender of Creed's race car, and that may loosen him up quite a bit. But they're staying on the racetrack, so hopefully he doesn't have a major tire rub and cause another incident, as he is running in the 8th place position right now, right in front of those bubble drivers of Kligerman and Herbst. 1 to go signal this time. Bias will restart with 19 laps to go in stage 1. Allgaier again taking the outside lane for the 4th time. Cole Custer on the bottom. Row 2, Sammy Smith on the bottom. John Hunter Nemechek on the outside. Row 3, Josh Berry and Brandon Jones. Row 4, Parker Kligerman, Daniel Hemrick, Austin Hill, Sheldon Creed. The RCR boys will be back in row 5. Lovey Barkley, thanks for tuning in. Up to 83 concurrent viewers. And 38 likes. Our goal is 100 likes for today's stream. And then 150 for tomorrow's Cup race. Only 25 laps into this one. Despite the fact that the green flag dropped almost a half hour ago. I mean, caution speed's what, 65 miles an hour? 60 miles an hour, and our average speed of the race is 76.1. Yikes. Guess if you round up, it's 76.15, so 2, but that still isn't good. That extra tenth doesn't really amount to much. Not at that low of a speed. Oh, we'll try it again. Had 2 cautions in the first lap of a restart, and again about a 5-lap green flag run before that. A very, very slow race pace. Allgaier gets the launch, green flag back in the air. Cole Custer trying to time it out well in that bottom lane. He's going to try to get the push from the 18 of Sammy Smith as well. No bumpers being locked in those first few rows going into turn 1. 3 wide further back just outside the top 10 as it looked like Parker Retzlaff got put in the middle lane. Contact already again off the restart. Parker Kligerman, Josh Berry getting together. 3 wide, splitting Berry down the backstretch, who loses a handful of spots. Side by side for the race lead still going on at the front. Cole Custer has to lift quite a bit in the middle of the corner. He's sliding around as John Hunter Nemechek will get underneath the 00 for second place, and Allgaier will lead the first green flag lap following the restart. Nemechek almost in the grass on the front stretch with those left side tires as he was taking the shortcut as low as he can go again, as he did on a restart prior, to pick up positions. Herb's trying to get back up there, potentially get back into the top 10. 3 wide underneath both Moffitt and Jeb Burton. Burton's car moving around a ton in the middle of 1 and 2. He looks to be very, very loose. Herb's pinned still on the bottom lane. Cars in that third lane on the outside kind of getting by both the 27 and the 98. Once again, Herbst has gone backwards on a restart as it looks like he is log jammed right around 15th, 16th place again. Josh Berry just behind him after restarting up inside the third row. Herbst overdriving the entry, going way up the racetrack, has to lift to keep it off the 45 of Carruth and drop in line behind him. We'll see if he can maintain momentum and not lose any more positions. Kligerman moved himself up to 8th place after Berry had fell back. That was the one position Kligerman gained there on the restart. If he can hold on for stage points, this could be huge for Parker to try to get that uphill climb into the playoffs. From an equipment standpoint, he's going to be outmatched compared to the 98 team that is an SHR Ford, but he's done a great job closing that gap over the last handful of races to put himself in this position here at Kansas today to try to get the job done and make the 12-man playoff field for Bristol next week. And Josh Berry, of course, trying to move himself forward after running in the top 5 for most of the early going of this race, having that bad restart. Seen one driver from the top 10 pretty much have a very terrible restart, lose a handful of positions in each of these first 4 starts of this one. And Berry lifted. Kligerman got into the side of him. That could have been nasty for Parker Kligerman. A lot of these drivers that are having the issues on the restarts are right in front of both the 48 and the 98, it seems like every single time. Luckily, they're staying out of trouble enough. Herbst nearly clipping the 45 car off turn 4 the last lap as they were 3 wide and he was in the middle. Can't get out of harm's way when you're running mid-pack. The danger zone to be on a racetrack. 0.7 of a second out ahead now is Allgaier over Nemechek. Side by side inside the top 5 now for 5th. Hemrick going to get blown around by Brandon Jones in the 9. Now remember, if we do get a winner below the cutoff line, then the battle between Herbst and Kligerman will be nullified, and neither one of those two will get in. I say that because Brandon Jones is back up inside the top 5 again, and he is not only without a win, but he is below the cutoff line in a must-win situation. He's the only driver inside the top 10 that is running the full Xfinity Series season that needs a win to make the playoffs. So he's trying to play spoiler today. Herbst gaining ground. He'll get by Jeb Burton on the outside. Half a lane lower than that of the 25 car in front of him. And Parker Kligerman now closing on Daniel Hemrick for 7th. And I wonder if Hemrick's down on power. He looks to be very, very slow. Of course, we saw the 16 of Chandler Smith pull into the garage. He is now back on the racetrack, but he is about 3 to 4 laps down. Actually, more than that. He is 13 laps down. It could be more if it wasn't for all those caution laps. So something was wrong there for Chandler Smith. And there might be the same issue now for Daniel Hemrick as he's getting blown by cars. It seems like every corner he's losing 1 or 2 positions. Kligerman just got by him last lap. Sheldon Creed gets by him this lap. And then, of course, the 16 car, his teammate Chandler Smith, who's many laps down, but on fresh tires, has gotten by him as well. Allgaier with about a 7/10 of a second lead. First commercial break during green flag action today will be a NASCAR nonstop commercial break. So we'll just go through the top 10. Justin Allgaier leads. John Hunter Nemechek 4/10 of a second back in second. Cole Custer's 1.2 seconds back in third. Sammy Smith is 3.4 seconds off the lead in fourth, and Brandon Jones rounds out the top 5 at 3.8 seconds back. Austin Hill up to 6th place. He's 5.2 seconds off of Allgaier. Parker Kligerman in 7th, 6.3 seconds off the lead. 6.8 seconds off the lead is Sheldon Creed in 8th. Daniel Hemrick back to 9th place in free falling as he's 7.5 seconds back. And his teammate Derek Kraus in the 11 car today will be in 10th, 8.1 seconds off the lead. That is your top 10 right now in the NASCAR Xfinity Series Kansas Lottery 300. We'll stay right here with our live commentary coverage. We will not take an ad break right now as we have just 11 laps to go in Stage 1. Slow car on the backstretch. It looks to be Daniel Hemrick in the 10. Very, very slow. And he'll be coming into pit road. It's another spot gain for Herbst, moving him to 12th as he tries to get into the top 10 late in the stage. And it looked like the 10 car missed pit road that time, and he's now on the apron through the tri-oval, so we'll see if he can make it all the way back around. If not, this could cause a caution. Surprised he didn't come in that time. He was very slow on the backstretch, and for some reason they kept him out on the racetrack. Probably should have brought it into the pits. Brandon Jones up to 4th place as he passes Sammy Smith for position. Now, Hemrick was not locked into the playoffs. He was 55 points to the good, so if we got a new winner, and then Parker Kligerman and or Riley Herbst score a ton of points today, stage points and race points, there is a chance Hemrick could miss out. I think he'll still be okay, considering there are a few cars knocked out of the race already. So at the very least, even if he can't get back in, I would imagine that he is going to be able to beat Mayer and Weatherman. I mean, he's already 18, 19 laps ahead of him, so drop him to 36, although that would still only be 1 point for finishing position. Chandler Smith is 14 laps down, so we'll keep an eye on Daniel Hemrick to see exactly where he's at. But not very good for him. Looks like he has pulled past his pit stall. Either that or they are pushing the 10 car back to the garage, which could be the case. I think he was trying to make it to the garage and then just ran out of power before that, so now he's just going to be pushed back into the box, and they're going to go to work on the 10 car. So Daniel Hemrick off the pace. He is slow on pit road, in fact, as of right now. Still a 6/10 of a second lead, now a half a second lead for Allgaier over Nemechek. Nemechek was about 0.06 of a second faster than Allgaier that last lap. We'll see if the run continues to close here late in the stage as we have a playoff point on the line. And remember, these two are still battling for the regular season championship, trying to close in 23 points for Nemechek and 33 on Austin Hill. Hill is in 6th, so looking to outscore him by 4 or 5 points here in this first stage, but most importantly, a playoff point for winning the stage, which carries over through every round when the playoffs begin next week. Justin Allgaier has won the most stages this year with 8 so far. Nemechek was 7. So looking to get yet another one between one of those two in the league going. Nemechek again, faster that last lap than Allgaier. Picking up the pace just a little bit. Dropped the 33.723. A lot of tire fall off already too. Over 2 seconds of fall off from their fastest laps of the race. Ran around laps 7 and 8. So over the last 35 laps or so, and that wasn't even all green flag laps, we have seen quite a bit of fall off. Here's Sam Mayer following his crash.
Just needed to survive a little longer. That's Sam Mayer. That's
Playoff point up for grabs right here, John.
How dare they cut off Kim Coon? There is a battle for the lead going on the racetrack. Don't blame them. Side by side as they head to the start-finish line. Big block by Nemechek all the way to the outside as he tried not to get picked behind the lap car of Nick Lights in the 28. I don't think Allgaier like that. He tries to hang on that left rear corner panel, maybe get the 20 arrow loose in the middle of 1 and 2. As they're bumper to bumper, Nemechek to the lead for the first time today with 4 laps to go in the first stage. Allgaier sends his car down to the bottom of the track in turn 3. Trying to pull off the slide job, but he's not going to be anywhere close, and he could be in contention to potentially lose second place to Cole Custer. Custer with a run off the high side behind him as he closes. Allgaier with a block to the bottom, to the top. He's trying to get points so he can catch Austin Hill in the standings as well. He knows how important this is. Custer's going to get a run in the middle of 1 and 2, all the way up next to the wall. Allgaier back to the bottom again, and Justin Allgaier loses 2 positions in 2 laps as he falls from first to third. And now we're down to just 2 laps to go in stage 1 this time by. Can Custer run down John Hunter Nemechek next as he's 4/10 of a second behind him and running just a little bit closer to the wall than what Nemechek is running? It looked like Custer was a bit quicker through 3 and 4 as a result of that. Meanwhile, Riley Herbst has just cracked the top 10 as he passes Derek Kraus for 10th place. Make that 9th place on the racetrack. So 2 points for Herbst potentially incoming. And Parker Kligerman is in 7th right now and trying to run down points leader Austin Hill for the 6th place position. It's going to be a good battle because Hill's not going to want to give this up, especially with Nemechek leading this race right now. Again, there's a battle for the regular season championship between the 20 and the 21 still going on. They had a much bigger increment between them two than what the 98 and the 48 had, but still possible considering Nemechek is out in front here in stage 1. Going to blow around the 0-2 car, put him a lap down. That was Blaine Perkins. Big loose moment off turn 2 for Nemechek as he was pinned sideways, almost getting up into the wall. Pushing maybe just a little bit too hard here as he tries to pull Custer. Loose is fast if he can hang on to it, I guess. And he was able to hang on to it. He's going to run off the wall this time by about a full lane and a half. Custer gets a run, but it's going to be too late. And John Hunter Nemechek will pick up his 8th stage win of the season by winning stage 1 today at Kansas. Big run off turn 4 for Parker Kligerman. He's going to get by Austin Hill as Hill had to lift off turn 4 as he got tight, almost got into the wall. And Kligerman will get 5 stage points in stage 1 for finishing 6th. Herbst ends up in 9th, so he only gets 2 points. Parker Kligerman, as we enter stage 2, will be above the cutoff line on Riley Herbst by unofficially 2 points. He was 1 point back, outscored him by 3, so it'll be a plus 2 point differential for Parker Kligerman over Riley Herbst going into stage 2. Great job getting by Hill in that final lap. That point matters. I mean, every point matters. Fun watch between those two so far today. And again, it's kind of fun watching 2 different points battles going on right now between the 48 and the 98, and then also watching the 21 and the 20. Hill, of course, losing that point to Nemechek. Only 4 stage points for Hill. Nemechek gets 10. He was 23 back, gets 6. So he is now 17 back of Austin Hill going into stage 2. So once again, Parker Kligerman, 2 points to the good to begin stage 2 over Riley Herbst for the final playoff spot. And for the regular season championship right now, Jonathan Nemechek has now cut that deficit from 23 to 17 points on Austin Hill. And he picks up a playoff point in the process, which again is his 8th stage win of the season. 90 people watching right now. We're up to 44 likes on the stream. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Our live commentary for tomorrow's NASCAR Cup Series race at Kansas will begin at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully the NASCAR app and website are correct this time. So 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for tomorrow's stream. Can't wait to see you guys there as we get the second Cup Series playoff race underway. John Hunter is running Cup next year. He'll be in the 42 car Legacy Motor Club with them making the switch to Toyota. So Nemechek will be in the 42 next season. Matthew Dorter Bruno, thanks for tuning in. So he's trying to go out with an Xfinity title this year, knowing it's his last year with JGR in this series full-time. Sure, we may see him in some races next season on a part-time basis. We're going to have a diecast showing here as we did not have one during the Truck Series race last night, so we will have one right now during this race. It is Kevin Harvick's final season, and with Bristol being next weekend and this being a diecast that he ran in the Bristol night race a couple of seasons ago, a very same car, a race I was there for, which was in 2021. I wanted to show this Subway Kevin Harvick diecast, of course, for Stewart Haas Racing again, 2021, last year with the Gen 6. And you can see the round of 16 playoff emblem there on the race car as well. So, Bristol race car. I like this paint scheme. I feel like the Subway schemes have always had really, really nice cars over the years. And getting a diecast of Harvick there late in his career. Harvick's had some really nice paint schemes with SHR, I will say, over the years. Had some good ones with RCR as well, but later parts of his career, he's had some really good schemes. A lot of the Busch Light schemes are really, really good. Not all of them, but a lot of them. I'm looking at you, the Millennial car. That one was a little bit gaudy, but he's had some good ones for sure. We'll see our first pit stops of the race as pit road is open, this time by during the Stage 1 break.
Their way to pit road, and first to you will be Kim.
Top left, Parker Kligerman, the first goal of the day, gets stage points. That was accomplished. P6 in that stage. Parker said he just needed help on entry. Center through off, though. The car was good. It's going to be a wedge adjustment. You see right there, air pressure, 4 tires, snow go fuel. Cole Custer also in with a wedge adjustment. He said he needed help on the top lane, Dave.
2 stage points, hard fought for Riley Herbst. He'll get adjustments on his car, but he said, don't take too long. I'd rather have the track position. He gets Goodyear tires on all 4 corners. So does John Hunter Nemechek. Another stage win for him. His car was not bad. Pretty close. Let's see where they come off pit road.
Cole Custer wins the race out of the pits by gaining a spot over Nemechek, who comes out second. Big gain for Riley Herbst. Yes, he only got 1 spot, but it was a pretty slow stop there for Parker Kligerman. Loses 1, so they'll meet each other in the middle in the 7th and 8th place position. Notice Kligerman's stop was a 15.1 second. Herbst's stop was 14 seconds even, so that is how they were able to gain on each other there, or close the gap, I guess, within each other on pit road. Daniel Hemrick will make the playoffs. Yes, as long as you run every race, it doesn't matter whether you're in the same car for the full season or not. So him being in the 10 car, he'll still be playoff eligible. He was 55 points ahead coming into the race today. And if I'm not mistaken, because there's no chance of Kligerman outscoring him by 55 points in this race. Well, I guess technically he could, because he had 5 points. Yeah, so Hemrick not locked in yet, but Parker Kligerman would have to win stage 2. Yeah, Kligerman would have to win stage 2 and then finish second in the race to actually outpoint Daniel Hemrick based off of where Hemrick is running right now, which would be 35th. On the same lap as Chandler Smith, but I don't think he's made his way out of the garage yet, so he may lose another point. He's actually basing that off of him being 36th and not 35th. So, yeah, unless Parker Kligerman's able to do that, then Hemrick will be locked into the playoffs on points. Riley Herbst, I don't think would have enough to be able to outpoint Hemrick or Creed today. Sheldon Creed getting a top 10 finish in that stage is going to allow him to lock himself into the playoffs as well. So Sheldon Creed will be locked into the playoffs after stage 1 here today in the Xfinity Series race off of points, still looking for his first career win. Earl Arnold Jr., thanks for tuning in. What if Hemrick drops out now? He's already 13 laps down in the garage. They can't get that car back on the track because he did not bring out a caution, so he was not under the damaged vehicle policy clock, so that's why Chandler Smith was able to return from the race. Daniel Hemrick scored 14 laps down right now. Along with Smith, I do think Hemrick should be fine on points. Again, Parker Kligerman would have to win stage 2, finish second in the race in order for him to outscore Hemrick on points here in this regular season finale. So, still looking like just a battle between the 98 and the 48. assuming that Brandon Jones does not win, as Jones sits in 5th. Now, Creed without a win this season as well, but he is now locked into the playoffs on points. Same goes for Josh Berry. Linda Leverett, thanks for tuning in also. Internet Streese, I think it's Streese, thanks for tuning in also. Got a side-by-side alignment right now as they'll be going green this time by. Looks like Cole Custer, who won the race off pit road, has elected the top lane. Allgaier back on the outside again, but he's going to be in row 2. He's been the control car for every race start today, but this will be the first one he will not be the control car. And Jonathan Nemechek will be on the inside of row 1. He does have his teammate right behind him of Sammy Smith, so that could be beneficial for him. Got just over 100 people watching right now. Thank you for everybody tuning in. 51 laps into the race. Be sure to hit that like button on the goal to 100 likes on the stream. On the goal to 5,000 subscribers on the channel. Hoping to get there before the end of the season. So if you are new, definitely hit that subscribe button. We've got live commentary streams every NASCAR race weekend for races I do not go to in person. We'll be back again better than ever tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the NASCAR Cup Series race at Kansas. Green flag back in the air as we begin Stage 2 in the Kansas Lottery 300. Creed going to the outside lane, 3 wide quickly all the way up near the wall. Didn't waste much time there. Looks like Herbst went to the wall right behind him as well, trying to get a run down the backstretch to try to close on Kligerman, who was on the inside lane of the row in front of Herbst. Very easy going at the front of the field for Jonathan Nemechek from the inside lane. Despite not being the control car, he's able to easily get to the lead after winning Stage 1 as he continues to try to charge for that regular season championship over Austin Hill, who has lost a few spots on this restart. He was 7th at the end of Stage 1. Creed's going to get around him here, and that's going to drop Austin Hill back to the 8th place position now. And Riley Herbst is coming looking to take away a spot from the 21 also. Kligerman remains in 6th following the restart. RCR cars battling for position right now. Josh Berry trying to get by Riley Herbst as well. Near contact off turn 4 between Sammy Smith and Brandon Jones as they're door-to-door for 4th. Allgaier got to the inside of Cole Custer for 2nd place. Allgaier's been running the bottom lane quite a bit in this race. His car doesn't seem to handle quite as well up high. That is where Custer and Nemechek have been able to beat him as they did on that long run. Seem to wear your tires out a little bit more running the bottom than the top. As tires start to wear out, you really need to be able to run the top lane, so maybe going to have to free Allgaier's race car up a little bit more to try to allow him to run the top lane of the racetrack more comfortably. Kligerman and Jones battling for 5th on the racetrack right now. Kligerman looking low. Not close enough to be able to really attack on the 9 card that last time by. Already 10 laps complete in Stage 2 with those caution laps during the stage break and now the early green flag laps of this stage. Lap 90 will be the end of Stage 2, and then the final stage, 110 laps today. Custer defending his position over Sammy Smith for 3rd. Smith had a good go for it going into turn 3. Wasn't quite able to make that move. Kligerman's lost a little bit of ground to Brandon Jones over the last couple of corners. Still sitting +8 above the bubble as they run on Herbst in the 98. But again, that's based off of where they're running right now, considering we have not finished Stage 2 yet. Not even halfway through the 2nd stage. John Hunter Nemechek pulling away at the front of the field right now. He's got a 0.6 of a second lead over Justin Allgaier. He was about a full 10th quicker than Allgaier the last lap. So there is a very good chance that he could really try to pull away here. He'd be 12 points ahead of Allgaier and 17 points behind Hill, 2nd in the regular season standings as we run, based off of the stage points they scored in Stage 1. And Hill has dropped to 10th place. This could be a big Stage 2 for John Hunter Nemechek and close that gap down to single digits on Austin Hill if Hill's not able to work his way more forward in this stage as he tries to get those additional 15 playoff points, which is almost a guaranteed lock to make it into the championship 4, especially for Nemechek, who's already won 8 stages this year, trying to go for a season high for any driver, number 9 here at Kansas in Stage 2 today. Hill making a pass on Herbst. That's another point loss for Riley as he drops back to 10th. Herbst trying to get on it. So is Hill. Hill kind of starting the corner off the top and then cutting down to the middle and the center. Maybe he is just not able to get a good drive off the exit of the corner. Maybe a little bit too free to be able to run the top all the way around. Car tends to be very light off the exit of the corner, especially off turn 2. A lot less banking on the backstretch of what there is on the front stretch. Caution, Cole Custer in the outside wall. Looked like he potentially blew a right front. I don't know for sure. But as straight as that car went up the hill, it looked like Cole Custer's right front tire blew out from underneath him. Not a very hard hit, luckily, as he was already kind of in that 3rd or 4th lane up near the wall anyway, but Cole Custer blowing a right front tire. That will bring out our 4th caution of the, actually our 5th caution of the day, with the stage 1 brake being the 4th yellow. Our first one, though, of stage 2. So 5 cautions already in the first 60 out of 200 laps today at Kansas. Headed into turn 1, and it looked like it just went straight. It didn't go straight right away, and actually it looked like he potentially got loose, but I think his right front blew out before that because there was quite a bit of smoke before he actually made contact with the wall. So it looked like the right front definitely gave way on him. Again, very fortunate he was on the outside. He still hit the wall pretty hard, but he could have hit it a lot harder if he was on the bottom, which could have knocked him out of the race. So that is one of the benefits of... Oh, it looked like he ran over a piece of debris. There was a tire carcass or something already laying on the racetrack. Custer hit it, and that's what blew the right front. Wow. Not sure where that came from. Very fortunate the leaders missed it. So running over a piece of debris there for Cole Custer, tough break. Had a fast car, ran top 3 for the early going, and now with severe damage to the right front fender of his race car. Up to 51 likes on the stream. You heard me, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, it looked like there was a tire laying on the track. Not like a full tire, like a flat tire carcass that was laying on the track. And he ran it over with the right front in the middle of 1 and 2 and then ended up hitting the wall, so that is why the right front blew. Surprised the leaders missed him. Trying to see. Looked like it came off of, not sure who that is. Jeremy Clements, 51 car? I don't know how the leaders missed it and it got to the 3rd place car, but Nemechek just missed it to the outside. Allgaier just missed it to the inside, and they were not that far off of hitting that tire as well. Unfortunately, Cole Custer right dead in line with it, and he ended up hitting it. But the tire carcass came off the right rear of the 51 of Jeremy Clements, which has put us under caution once again. Tough break there for Cole Custer, just wrong place at the wrong time. And nothing of his own doing there. I mean, maybe the spotter could have called it, but obviously the leaders didn't even see it either. I doubt the spotter saw something like that. When it's so, you got something so small, minuscule like that. You know, the cars, especially off turn 2 and down the backstretch on these intermediate tracks and bigger, I mean, they're so small for the spotters to see, let alone if they were to see a piece of debris. Just an unfortunate circumstance there for Custer. which again has put us under our 5th caution of the race today. Under commercial break on the NBC coverage, so we will take our first ad break of the race today. You're listening live to the Kansas Lottery 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Regular season finale continues onward. 54 votes have been casted so far for who you think will win today's race, and right now Justin Allgaier leading the poll at 37%. Josh Berry with 26% of the votes, and Nemechek, who leads the race in stage 1, having 15% of the votes, other at 22% as well. So a somewhat tight poll right now, and again we will close that poll at the end of stage 2, so we still have about 20 to 25 laps or so left available on that poll. Michigan's defense looking stout. Pulling off another sack. Up 14-0. Wasn't for him playing prevent at the end of the game last week, they would have pitched a shutout. Just over an hour after the start of the race, and we're not even a third of the way home yet. Oh my goodness. This is basically to be over a 3-hour race. Hard to see black on black. Yeah, it was kind of in a shaded area as high up in the outside lane as it was. Why did NASCAR not see the tire? Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something NASCAR should have caught. I'd say it would have been easier for them to catch it than the spotters, considering that they have officials all over the racetrack versus the spotters are up on the rooftop all on the front stretch, not scattered around. Willie Bowen, thanks for tuning into the stream as well. Up to 54 likes. Again, our goal is 100 on the stream, so we're over halfway there. We're not even halfway through the race yet, so thank you for hitting that like button so far on the stream. One second lead for, well, under caution, I guess, for Nemechek. Not going to see any of the leaders hit pit road during this caution. Don't imagine we'll see pit stops till the end of stage 2. Could be quite a bit of tire strategy in that final stage, though, because, again, we have seen fall off of over 2 seconds back in that first stage. That was even with all those caution laps. They probably only had like 25 or so green flag laps in the stage. And we already saw over 2 seconds of fall off. Nemechek's fastest lap, 31.535. And I believe that is the fastest of the race so far, just barely edging out Allgaier's fastest lap set on the same lap at lap 7 of a 31.563. Nemechek in the outside lane, which seems to be more preferred in the Xfinity race today versus the truck race last night. Green flag back in the air, and his teammate Sam Smith pushing him. Kligerman gets split 3 wide middle. A little further back in the pack. One car went way up the racetrack. It looked like it was Riley Herbst. He's slow. Problems for Herbst on the racetrack. 29th and fading as his right front tire is down. I'm not sure if he had contact or not. Major playoff implications for Riley Herbst. He's going to have to come to pit road. Right front tire is down. No caution. If there's no debris on the racetrack, it won't warrant a yellow. He is out of the way. The field has passed him. And a heartbreaker for Riley Herbst. And a huge break for Parker Kligerman, as all he pretty much has to do is just stay on the lead lap, and he's going to make it into the playoffs. Herbst has made it to pit road. We continue to stay green. Leaders getting into turns 3 and 4. This will put Herbst 1 lap down. Jeremy Clements in 31st right now is the first car lap down. We'll see if they can change the right sides quick enough, get him back out there. But I still don't think he's going to be in the free pass spot. They're going to have to pull that fender out quite a bit. Battle for the race lead going on. 3-car battle at that between 2 JGR Toyotas and a JRM Chevy. It is Nemechek. It's Smith in first and third, splitting the second place car of Justin Allgaier. Nemechek up on the top, Allgaier in the middle lane, and Sammy Smith down on the white line on the bottom. It looks like Smith a little bit faster than Justin Allgaier. Just can't get around him with Allgaier kind of running the middle groove. It's not allowing for the 18 to get all the way up the inside. The only reason Allgaier's running there is because he's trying to get clean air on the nose, and his car doesn't seem to be handling quite as well in that very top lane anyway. And I'm sure the dirty air would only make that even more worse. So it looked like on the restart, I think it was Parker Kligerman who didn't take off on the restart very well, and that's who Riley Herbst ran into, which caused Herbst's right front tire to go down after the rub on that right front fender. So Kligerman and Herbst get together, and that causes our caution. Fortunately, the 48 car did not go. He lost a couple spots, falling from 6th to 8th, but obviously not as many spots as Herbst has fallen, as he is a lap down in 32nd now. Needs to get to 30th to get the free pass. Top three still all within about 0.4 of a second of each other. Nobody pulling away. Great battle going on with 21 laps to go in Stage 2.
But it's still possible. I don't want to give up hope on Riley Herbst making the playoffs. Parker Kligerman right now still running his race in the 8th position. There's the top three: John Hunter, Nemechek, Allgaier, and Smith. Let's ride along with Parker one more time on this restart.
Watch his hand, his right hand. See what he does with his shifter here. Like he didn't get it all the way into gear. Yep. Finally was able to get it into third gear and accelerate, but not quick enough to avoid what happened right there with Herbst.
And that happens, Junior, when you try to get it in gear too quickly. You've lifted off the gas, and when you just before you start lifting, you start moving the handle forward, and it just cannot fall into gear. It's just rushing that shift.
Interested to see if they've already talked to Parker yet. If anything has been relayed. Patrick Donahue, I know, is on top of where everybody's running.
Yeah, just have to be very careful, because remember, now the 98 has fresher tires. Can he get at least back to only one lap down with the remaining 19 laps of this stage? That'll be important. The other thing is the 4th place car is Brandon Jones, the must-win car. Or there are a few, but he's the one we thought had the best chance. He has shown up with reasonable speed, 1 or 2 adjustments, and he perhaps could have winning speed. Dave.
And see, if you think back to what the summer's been like for Riley Herbst, there was a time when he was not at all in trouble for making the playoffs, but that black 98 car went through a series of issues, some mechanical, some on track. In fact, they replaced the car chief after the disaster at Daytona, where he had a mechanical issue on lap 1. So they've overcome a lot. Like you said, very tough with the way this Xfinity Series racing works to get back from 2 laps down. Now it's up to Riley to keep his head in the game, just do what he can on track.
Let's listen in to the 48 radio. What kind of messages have been relayed?
98, 2 laps down. You're doing good here. Focus 4, 5, 2.
So there's some information about the 98, but how crazy is it that the 48 has the issue and the 98 is the car that runs into him? I mean, it's just...
We are now down to 16 laps to go in Stage 2. 3 wide on the racetrack. Couple Jordan Anderson racing Chevys on the middle and outside lane of Jeb Burton and Parker Retzlaff. Similar paint schemes on those 2 cars as well. Oh, and now Brandon Jones is in the grass. Off turn 4. Got a little loose. He's going to lose a ton of track position. He came in a must-win situation. Was actually in 4th with decent speed, as you just heard on the broadcast. And now goes for a big slide, bringing out our 6th caution of the day.
Lose the car, come around, down the front straightaway. Really lucky going through the grass without any damage to the splitter.
6 cautions already, with 16 laps still to go in Stage 2.
Yeah, just pushing really hard, trying to find some speed, and just asking a little bit too much out of the car, and around it goes. This is the part you get nervous about when that front splitter hits the grass. But it looks like it rolled over top of it pretty good. Not much damage, if any.
The big challenge for the 9 now is if there's no damage, what do you do about tires? Only 4 sets in the pits. So it'd be shocking if they feel like they can stay on this set with 15 laps to go on the stage, but you really have to consider trying it. Because you don't, if you put a set of stickers on now, you're going to be a set behind the cars you're going to be racing for the win.
Yeah, something else here, Steve, that happens is that Jerry McClemens was a 1 lap down. He'll get his lap back. That'll put only one other person a lap down. So if you can get another quick caution, then that can help Riley start getting his laps back, Kim.
And Brandon Jones maybe getting away with not a lot of damage on that incident. The interesting thing is, when I talked to Brandon this morning, he felt like this was a place you could get aggressive without too much risk. Not the case here, as we saw him go spinning after snapping loose.
Service done to the 9. They'll get him back out. Pit road was closed when he came, but obviously by spinning, he's going to start at the back of the pack anyway.
Yeah, the leaders, they would love to have tires, but it just goes back to the tire limit. They can't put an extra set on here. So you just have to kind of ride this set of tires to the end of the stage.
Now out of the infield care center, standing by with Kim.
Yeah, that's right, Rick. After he hit a tire carcass, could anything have been done differently in that situation?
I don't know. I don't want to put blame on anybody. I don't know if it's just dumb luck or if I should be mad at NASCAR. I don't know how long it was sitting out there, but it just sucks, Like, I was committed into the corner to try and I was going to carry a bunch of speed in there, wash up into the corner, and that tire was sitting right where I was washing up into. So it just sucks. I saw it, two car lengths before I was into it, and it just was too late. I couldn't miss it. So we had a fast car though. Our guys have been working all year trying to find that little bit of speed that we need. I think we had it today. Just needed the balance a little bit better. But I think we're gonna have a really good fight coming into the playoffs here. I'm really happy with these Haas Animation Ford Mustangs, and hopefully give them a good run at it.
So the good news is the playoffs don't start till next week, but the bad news, maybe a momentum killer. How do you reset and refocus for Bristol?
I mean, honestly, I'll see this as a momentum gain. I mean, I think this has been about one of our best mile-and-a-half races this year, where I feel like we could have competed for a win. So I'm looking forward to it. I think we're gonna have a good playoff run here.
Great perspective from Cole Custer, despite the result here today at Kansas.
And Cole Custer, his weekend's not done. He's double duty. He's going to run in the Cup Series race tomorrow. So, unfortunate ending to the regular season for Cole Custer, though. Sunday Night Football on NBC and Peacock. It's Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys visiting Barkley and the New York Giants. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with Football Night in America. You got a favorite there? I know you're not a Giants fan. Cowboys, though?
You can't cheer for either of them, Rick. I mean, as a Patriots fan, I think they take your card away if you cheer for... You can't cheer for the Giants, for sure. The 90 is going to use this opportunity to work on the right front fender. I like this decision, right? They're on their own lap. They're 2 laps down. So put some fuel in the car. Let's talk about the pathway back. There's one car in front of him, 1 lap down. He's 2 laps down. If we got another quick yellow, that car will get the free pass, and now Herbst will be next up at the stage end. If we don't get a yellow... then it's gambling, but that's what the 98's going to have to do. He could stay out at the end of the stage, take the wave round, and everybody's going to pit. So this is those times, we talk a lot about crew chiefing a car to win. And adjustments, 2 tires, 4 tires, how to make your car better. But the amount of studying these crews have to do to understand these situations sometimes are even more complicated. How do you put the puzzle together from here to get back onto the lead lap?
So while that crew is working on the 98, Dave, let's talk a little bit about the 27 of Jeff Burton.
He's having a good day right now, running 12th. We showed that battle earlier with him and his teammate Parker Retzlaff. And he's got an interested bystander today as well. His dad, Ward Burton, started the Ward Burton Wildlife Foundation to do a lot of different things with conservation. And they also do veterans causes, and I want to introduce you to Tim Story, who served our country in the the National Guard, right? Yep. And the cool thing that Ward's Foundation did this week was that they made a match with an emotional dog. What do we call those, Tim? I'm sorry? An emotional companion?
An emotional support animal.
Support animal, yeah, I couldn't get the words out. And that is Liberty. So Liberty and Tim met everybody earlier today, and they've spent their time together this first week. And after today, she will go home with Tim to support him at his home. So, first of all, thanks for serving our country. How are you enjoying your time here in Kansas?
It's unbelievable. It's a dream come true. I'm so blessed to be here, and I got to thank Jeb and the Ward Burton Wildlife Foundation. They've done just an incredible job, rolling out the red carpet, and it's just beyond words. I'm speechless, really.
What do you think of Liberty?
She's 11-month-old golden retriever, and she's just a wonderful companion.
She's going to be there for Tim as he works his life post-serving our country, Rick. A really great cause, and we appreciate Ward's foundation helping him out with that.
Tim and Liberty. Great combination there. So, yep, thanks, Ward Burton Foundation. And a little bit of a moment for Jeb Burton.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. These cars racing hard over the last several laps. 39 is going to get up here, and they're just going to have some contact, and more contact right there. That's when I thought the 27 was going to get spun around. They got to racing each other again several laps later, no contact. I'm sure Jeb wasn't real happy with that, but kept us cool when they got side by side later on, a few laps later. That battle back for 15th through 22nd, it is fierce. It's intense.
Well, Jeff, 15th through 22nd, how about 1 through 30? I mean, on these restarts, you just never know where it's going to fan out, be 3-4 wide. Maybe somebody misses a shift. Restart.
11 laps to go in Stage 2. We'll see if John Hunter Nemechek can hang on for the Stage 2 victory. Green flag back in the air. 2, 3, almost 4 wide as they head down into the first turn. Austin Hill underneath both the 8 and the 7 into that first turn in that white line. Bottom lane, trying to leapfrog as many positions as possible to not allow John Hunter Nemechek to close that gap even more for the regular season championship. Parker Kligerman's 3 wide middle in the center of 3 and 4 as well, right between Sheldon Creed and Derek Kraus. Allgaier going way down to the apron to side draft the 21. Now blocks the 8 car up to the outside as they battle for third place. Nemechek and his teammate Sammy Smith, running 1-2 at the front of the field. Austin Hill remains in 5th. Josh Berry looking for a run after Allgaier. Berry on the outside, coming from about 15th place is Berry after having that bad restart towards the end of Stage 1. Where he was on the inside of row 3 and then ended up falling back to 15th place, lost 10 positions. Nice little recovery here in the middle going to the race for Berry. Trying to get himself in contention that maybe he's got something for the win in the final stage. Sammy Smith running down his teammate John Hunter Nemechek at the very front of the field. If they get to battling, that 3-car battle for third could close the gap as well, as they're only 1 second behind him for right now. Berry all the way up near the wall. On the outside, Allgaier went down to the bottom through turns 3 and 4 the short way around. Berry looking for a run through the tri-oval, cuts to the apron, cuts to the inside of Allgaier, side drafts him at the end of the front stretch and pits his car down to the bottom. Got a little tight, washed up the racetrack a bit, and Allgaier will hold on for third for at least one more corner. Justin a little loose off the exit of the corner as well, as maybe slight adjustments made to that 7 car to free it up to allow him to run the top, as he was not able to do for really all of Stage 1. Parker Kligerman up to 7th place. Great run for Brett Moffitt in the 25 car in 8th. And of course, remember Brandon Jones, who was in 4th place, spun out, brought out that last caution. He was in a must-win situation. He is still back in 30th. And I don't believe they have put new tires on that car, as they didn't want to waste a set and put him down 1 set compared to the rest of the field for the rest of this race. Moffitt going after 8th place on Derek Kraus. By far the highest running colleague car so far today. The only one not to have a mechanical issue, as both Chandler Smith and Daniel Hemrick had problems earlier in the race. Parker Retzlaff with a pretty good run up to 12th. And how about Ryan Ellis right now in the 13th place position? It's like Retzlaff actually going to crack the top 10 all of a sudden. On our leaderboard, at least. Getting by Jeb Burton that last lap for 10th place. Good little run for Retzlaff. Chandler Smith many laps down, closing in. Maybe fresh tires as well, as he blows right around the 25 car of Moffitt. 5 laps to go in Stage 2 for John Hunter Nemechek. 31-point differential right now between Kligerman and Herbst on the racetrack. Hemrick will be locked into the playoffs through Stage 2. Kligerman would have had to win the stage and finish second in the race to outpoint Daniel Hemrick, based off of the points that Hemrick and Kligerman would have scored in that first stage. Top 10. League going here. Jonathan Nemechek leads. Sammy Smith second. Justin Allgaier third. Josh Berry fourth. Austin Hill fifth. Sheldon Creed sixth. Parker Kligerman seventh. Derek Kraus eighth. Brett Moffitt ninth. And Parker Retzlaff is in 10th. 4 to go in the stage. 3 wide. Bottom of the racetrack right now. Great battle going on between the 12th place position on back, really. They're about 15th. 4 cars. 2 and 3 wide. Racing clean, racing hard. Not racing for any stage points, but just racing. It's fun to watch. Castrello working his way through in that 26 car. He started very deep in the field, did not qualify well at all earlier this morning. Started outside the top 25, so he is working himself into the top dozen late in the stage. 39 car, Ryan Sieg going to look to cross him over. Big moment for Jeb Burton in that bottom lane as he lifted a ton in the center of 3 and 4. Ellis gets back around into the outside of Josh Williams in the 92. Also going to look to make the pass for 14th place. Make that 15th place on Jeb Burton. Retzlaff now up to 9th as he passes Brett Moffitt that last lap. Of the full-time drivers that are below the cutoff line looking for a win to get into the playoffs, Retzlaff in 9th would be the highest running of them, and then Moffitt, of course, in 10th. Final lap, stage 2. Race leader Jonathan Nemechek has opened up about a 1.5 second lead over his teammate Sammy Smith. 2.8 seconds ahead of Justin Allgaier still. Austin Hill remains in 5th. Middle of turns 3 and 4 for Nemechek. As he works his way off the corner, this will be the 9th stage win of the year for John Hunter as he wins and sweeps the stages today at Kansas. Winning stage 1 and stage 2. This one a little bit easier to come by than what stage 1 was, when he passed Allgaier with about 3 to go in the stage. This one he leads the majority of the laps. Sammy Smith second in stage 2, Justin Allgaier third, Josh Berry fourth, Austin Hill 5th, Sheldon Creed in 6th, Parker Kligerman in 7th. Derek Kraus at 8th, Parker Retzlaff 9th, and Brett Moffitt rounds out the top 10, all receiving stage points through stage 2 today. This is our 7th caution of the race. We had just one caution for incident in stage 2. That was the Brandon Jones spin at lap 74. 110 laps to go as we enter the final stage today. As we're during the stage 2 break, time for the stage 2 diecast showing. This man's not on the broadcast so far today, at least I haven't heard him yet. That would be Dale Jarrett. Got a little 2002 UPS Ford Taurus diecast here. Once again, 2002 Dale Jarrett diecast. What can Brown do for you? Like the UPS scheme. I've really liked the UPS schemes over the years. Unfortunately, they're not in the sport anymore. David Reagan had a really nice car there towards the end of his Roush days as well. Note to self, or not note to self, but interesting fact, I actually worked at UPS while I was in high school, and it sucked. But the race car itself looks nice. Shots fired at UPS. But it was one of the worst jobs I've ever had. It was not fun. And not that it wasn't fun. I got the hang of it. It was just the ending. It didn't have to end the way it did. It all worked itself out in the end, though. But I really like that diecast. One of the cleaner looking ones I've got. Almost an hour and a half into the race, and we're not halfway home yet. We'll see how many green flag runs we'll get in the final stage. And we will take our second ad break of the race. When we come back, we will have pit stops during this stage 2 action. Yeah, I was a little too young to see Dale Jarrett win too much in that car, but he didn't really win a lot in the UPS car anyway. And Quality Care car Majority of his wins came there, and of course with Joe Gibbs racing early in his career in the Interstate Batteries 18. Mark 63 and Robert Goodrich, thanks for tuning in. Golf on a Saturday, quite relaxing. Golf any day of the week, quite relaxing. Friday night next week, Bristol for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I will be at Bristol for all of next week's races. ARCA Truck Xfinity Cup. There will be race highlights from the grandstands from all 4 races next week. And there will be individual highlight videos of some of the bigger moments of the race. Also uploaded on the night I get back from the hotel on whatever said day the race is. Truck Series will be Thursday with ARCA. Doubleheader there. So those videos will be uploaded late Thursday night or very early over the midnight hours. The late hours into Friday morning. Same goes for Friday night and Saturday nights.
Quickly, Kim.
Great day for Sammy Smith. Top left said it started off neutral but built free. Otherwise, really likes the car. Thinks it's going to be good on the long run. 4 fresh Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel. Slight adjustment there as you see the chassis adjustment on the 18. That just to give more rear stability. Also needing rear stability, Parker Kligerman said it was better that run. Sliding the rears, need more stability there. Turns good though. 4 fresh tires, adjustment and fuel.
Goodyear tires for stage sweeper John Hunter Nemechek as well. That may be the only adjustment. He said it's pretty good. I'd be happy staying again and not making any. As for the 7 of Justin Allgaier, his car was very loose. Air pressure adjustment to try to correct that.
Another really slow stop for Parker Kligerman, as that was 16.1 seconds that time. Even slower than the first stop he had. Only lost 1 position out of it, though. Josh Berry with an even slower stop loses 3 positions on pit road. Allgaier down 2, it's not good for those Chevys. Derek Kraus up 2 positions to 6th, up 2 spots for Austin Hill and Sheldon Creed as well. 4 points gained for Nemechek over Hill in that stage, so it is a 13-point difference for Austin Hill versus John Hunter Nemechek. Hill 13 points ahead of Nemechek for that regular season championship. 1 point per position, but there is a 5-point increment for position between first and second. So if Nemechek wins, it'd be 5 points to second place, and then 1 point per position beyond second. So it is not impossible that John Hunter Nemechek can win this regular season championship if he does win the race today. And Austin Hill's been getting quicker throughout the course of the day, considering he was 9th at the end of stage 1 and moves up to 6th rather at the end of that last stage. I did my math wrong there, by the way. Or no, he was 5th, right? Yeah, 5th, because he gained spot on pit road. Tight playoff battle for the Cup Series as well. We'll worry about that tomorrow, though. Still got one more stage of this Xfinity Series race to worry about for right now. Up to 63 likes on the stream. Appreciate that, everybody. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't yet. And because we're at the end of Stage 2 right now, we will end the poll for who you think will win today's race at Kansas for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 74 votes casted. Justin Allgaier will be the fan-voted driver to win today's race. So Justin Allgaier is your guys' vote as the fans to win. Lost a couple spots on pit road there, but he's been top 5 all day. Josh Berry on the move. He got 25% of the votes, 18% for other, and John Hunter Nemechek with 17% of the votes, as once again he has dominated this one so far. Brandon Jones stayed out of the pits. Interesting call. He is going to be the leader in the restart in a must-win situation. Trying to go off strategy here. We'll see if he can hold on. He had top 5 speed earlier. He just was looking to get some extra track position there. I think he would have actually changed tires and stayed out on the racetrack, so he's got the same amount of tires left for the rest of this race, which would be 2 more sets, but unfortunately, he was trying to take care of them as much as he could, and I think that's why he was running so slow at the back of the pack, but he's still going to have about 10, 11 laps on his tires. I think 11 green flag laps from when we went green following his spin. So 11-lap old tires for Brandon Jones. We've seen over 2 seconds of fall off just over about a 20 to 25 lap run. So I don't think he's going to hang on very well, but got to do something different in the situation he's in right now after a very poor season for Brandon Jones has put him in this situation where he has to win today at Kansas in order to get into the playoffs. When you consider the fact that Noah Gragson was in the championship 4th, that same team last season, won a bunch of races. Huge step down there, and a huge step down for Brandon Jones, too, because he won a few races last season with Joe Gibbs Racing the last couple of seasons. So him to not strike victory lane yet this year and just looking as poor as they are on any given week, he is just like 15th place speed most of the season, and that's why he's about there in the point standings. I think he was 78 points back coming into the race today. Crazy. So again, that was the 9th stage win of the year for John Hunter Nemechek. About to get going green. We'll have 103 laps to go in the final stage of this race. Brandon Jones will be the control car for the restart. Nemechek on the inside of row 1 with the freshest tires. Hill on the outside lane behind Brandon Jones. We'll see if he takes it 3. Green flag back in the air. Nemechek gets a great launch. Hill stuck behind Jones. Jones got knocked out of the way. The 7 was pushing the 21, which knocked the 9 out. Hill into that middle groove. And he's going to get to second place as Sammy Smith has a bit of a moment in the middle of turns 1 and 2. And Allgaier also gets by on the outside. Gaggle of cars from second on back, but Nemechek's clear by about 3 to 4 car lengths. Contact into the corner. Allgaier's around. Multiple cars into the outside wall. Sammy Smith with heavy damage. Brandon Jones slides behind Allgaier. I don't think there was contact with the 9 and the 7 there at the end of the slide. And we are under yellow. Sheldon Cray just pile drove one of the cars that was just to the outside of him, knocked that car into the 7 of Allgaier, which caused the spin. And we're under caution again here today. I believe our 7th of the race, so we're not even halfway home. 8th caution of the race, excuse me. 8th caution. Major damage for Sammy Smith. He's going to be done. Quite a bit of damage on Allgaier's car as well. It was a long shot to win the regular season championship, and now he is pretty much going to be locked into a 3rd place points finish now.
That's the 7th straight race with an accident for Sammy Smith.
Let's see if we can figure out how this happened down the back straightaway. And 18 just kind of jumps out of the throttle there of a 3-wide situation. So coming off of turn 2 right here, they get 3 wide. 18 in the middle, 7 on the outside. Sammy just kind of lifts really hard. You know, entering that corner, I don't know if Josh Berry was ready or understanding that he was going to do that.
Yeah, 3 wide right here. Josh Berry came. Oh, yeah. There was contact getting into the corner.
The 2 car.
And that's why Sammy Smith checked up a little bit. That contact. Here it goes. Riding along with Parker Kligerman. Yeah, that's where it started.
In slow motion, it just looks so simple, but now at real speed, heading down the backstretch, the contact from the 2 of the 8 and the 18 checks him up. Look at the difference. I mean, it happens so quickly. I'm with you, Dale. Initially, I thought, you know, the 18 said, hey, I just don't want to be 3 wide. I'm going to get out of gas a little bit. And then we see it's really the 2 kind of trying to arc the corner, I'm guessing.
Yeah, they all just kind of converge right here. I'm not sure that... I think you called it right. I think that they were expecting the 2 to turn a little bit sooner than he did. That contact getting into the corner started this whole stuff. There's Parker Kligerman sliding right by.
One playoff spot out there to grab.
It's a great shot of it right here. See, the 2, he just doesn't turn. He just keeps going straight like he wants to, like you said, Steve, arc the corner. Enter the corner as high as possible, and everyone was expecting him to turn, and he didn't. Let's listen to him.
I didn't move, right? You just turned out early, right? Yeah, you're good. Nothing we could do different.
What?
So, I would disagree with that statement. I don't think it was on purpose.
Yeah.
But I do believe with that head-on shot coming at you, in a 3-wide situation, Creed was more like the middle of the racetrack. You know what I mean, Jeff? Like, he's turning in like he's going to run the middle, or at least a groove off the bottom. And 3 wide, I think the other two expected him to run the bottom. I don't think, it's an egregious mistake, but the other two definitely clearly thought he was turning lower.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Working on the back of the 7. Dave, coming to you again.
So the left front, I believe they talked about cutting a splitter bar so that they could pull it up manually and get the splitter off on the left front. They do have to replace that bumper cover on the back, one of the required parts. So they have named the personnel, they have named the tasks, and Jim Pullman looks on from above the box there as they try to direct Justin Allgaier's repairs here, see what he can make out of the day.
And I would coach them through this if I'm Jim Pullman, even if there's nothing to gain, because we talk a lot about prepping for the playoffs and practice. Well, this is great real-time situation for this crew to be ready to make a repair like this, because in the playoffs, this could be the one point that advances you out of a round. Why do they have to have a bumper cover? It's not for safety. The metal bumper is still there if you ever get rear-ended. The issue is, when you take that rear bumper off, as crazy as this sounds, that is way better aerodynamically. Like, way, way, way better. So, there was a time, hard to believe, that crew chiefs didn't secure them as well as they should. And they kind of blew off on their own.
Sure they did.
NASCAR has now said, hey, at these big high-speed tracks, no, don't play any games because you're going to have to put it back on.
So they'll work on that for Allgaier.
I expect the 98 probably will come down pit road when he's allowed. I think he's going to be rewarded the free pass. So he's waiting to drive past the pace car, so he has to actually unlap himself and then come to pit road.
There they gave him the sign to unlap himself.
And he has damage on the right front, so, okay, the 7 was putting a bumper on. You're allowed to put a new part on because it's required. The 98 has to repair that right front fender, but they can't put like new fenders on because it's not a required part. The 9 of Brandon Jones back on pit road, Kim.
Yeah, that's right. Got a piece of that incident between Sheldon Creed and Sammy Smith, as well as others. Just can't catch a break. Doesn't look like devastating damage. Will get back on the race car, but definitely likely takes him out of a shot at winning this race, is what he needed to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, he's running out of the tires quickly on the 9 car. It just puts you so far behind. So now the 98 will have the opportunity to pit. He'll probably get caught up to the field because they'll continue to try to work on that fender. They're not racing anyone because they're the free pass. They'll have to line up tail end, last car basically on the racetrack. But he's on the lead lap, which means he can keep gaining points. That's the big difference. So now, Parker Kligerman running at 5th, doing a great job. He just needs to be aware that an issue here, points are available for the 98.
So the one thing that Parker Kligerman has going for him is he was able to gain some more points in the second stage as far as stage points. So for the day, he earned 9 points through the stages. And with the issues that the 98 had, right now where they're running, both of them on the racetrack, they're separated by 29 points. So you see stage points earned today. John Hunter Nemechek earning the most that you can by winning both stages. But Parker Kligerman doing a valiant effort of gaining as many positions or as many points as he can to get him set to potentially make that 12th spot for the playoffs. Dave?
Rick, if you ever wondered why you keep your driver's head in the game, it's for instances like this. 2 laps down, not a lot of opportunities to get those laps back. He has gotten them back now, and so the 24-year-old, who can be feisty at times, has been calmed down. He has a fast race car, and now he's got to see what he can do with it toward the end of this race. They'll change the 4 Goodyear tires here, a little adjustment to the chassis as well.
Sometimes the rough day you've had, Rick, actually take the nerves off. Now you're not expected to be in it.
Now he's going to go after it. After this, the 8th caution came out.
Hey Dad, I got an A in my book report. And I scored a goal on Ashley.
That's cool. And I went for a walk in the woods and I didn't...
It's in the middle of putting those die casts away. Appreciate you guys tuning in here today as we're just past the halfway point of the Kansas Lottery 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series regular season finale. As far as this race goes so far, it's been very caution-filled. We've had 7 yellows so far today. Over an hour and a half to get through the first half of this race. We still have half more to go. And by the way, everything has been Pretty much all John Hunter Nemechek so far today, although Austin Hill has slowly worked his way up to second. Sheldon Creed right there in third behind him, despite being involved in a couple incidences today. Kind of some that he may have caused, in fact, as he, remember, squeezed. Actually, he had gotten squeezed into the wall earlier, so I guess that first one with him and Sam Mayer, that was more on Mayer, who didn't give Creed a lot of room there, and Mayer spun off of Creed's race car earlier in the front stretch on a restart. This one, though, I'd put the blame on Creed. I know him and his crew chief were talking about on their behalf on the radio that they didn't cause it. They felt that that Sammy Smith had moved down into him. That wasn't the case. It looked like Sheldon Creed had kind of sailed it off a little too high in the corner, not giving Smith and Allgaier enough room there as they were 3 wide with Smith in the middle lane and, of course, Creed on the bottom. So that causes the bigger incident of the day that took out some heavy hitters there. Justin Allgaier. Brandon Jones again gets back into the top 5 and again has another sled that puts him at the back of the pack. The good news is, though, for Riley Herbst, he got the free pass. He gets back on the lead lap, back-to-back free passes with the stage end, and then this happening. So now, the wave around during the stage end at the end of stage 2, and then taking the free pass here, so he's able to put 4 fresh tires back on the car. He's only got about a lap fresher tires than everybody. Can't count him out of it, especially if Kligerman gets in an incident now, because we've seen quite a few incidences today. Kligerman is up to the 5th place position. Is still pretty comfortable as of right now from a point standpoint in making it into the playoffs. I believe going into this final stage, Riley Herbst needs to beat Parker Kligerman by 5 positions based off of the stage points that Kligerman scored and, of course, the stage points that was scored from Riley Herbst earlier in the day. Looks like the green flag's back in the air. Getting there right now, actually, through the restart zone, and we're back to racing at Kansas. A little bit of a wad up on that inside lane, a lot of bottlenecking going on. Austin Hill got the shove finally from Josh Berry, but it was maybe a little bit too late. Don't think he's going to be able to stay alongside Nemechek off turn 2. John Hunter's going to have the lead, and it looks like Sheldon Creed going to challenge his teammate for second on the high side. We'll see if Creed's going to be able to get by the 21. I'm sure there's multiple donut marks on the side of the number 2 machine, left and right side of the race car. Kligerman trying to challenge back for that 5th place position right now with Derek Kraus, who's having a great run in the 11. He's had a couple of solid runs this season with the top 10 already in the books for Colleague Racing this year. Last of those 3 Colleague cars that is on the lead lap. Kligerman just has to be strong. I mean, Herbst, although he's back in the lead lap, does have quite a bit of damage to that right front fender, so it's going to be tough for him to get back into the top 10 where he was running before his incident earlier when he was right around 8th place. Kligerman is going to be able to fend off Kraus for now as he hangs on to 5th place. Great job by Parker getting back inside the top 5. 3 wide battle into turn 1 between Jeb Burton, Kaz Gralla, and Brett Moffitt. All battling in the back half of the top 10. Great job by those teams getting up there. Ryan Ellis in the 43 car, by the way, in 8th place. Great run for him. I think he's running full time this season, too. So technically, if he were to somehow go to victory lane, if carnage gets even crazier down the stretch, that he could get into the playoffs with that win. Same goes for Parker Retzlaff, who is in 7th and has really been in the back half of the top 10 for a lot of this race following stage 1. Battle for second between Josh Berry and Sheldon Creed. Berry took a look to the inside. Creed gets the run off the exit of the corner. Berry going to try to go back underneath Creed again. Gets to the middle to upper groove for Berry before turning down into the middle going to the lane. Creed may have bounced off the wall off turn 4. Pushing it a little bit too hard. That's going to allow Berry to clear him well before getting into turn 1. So Josh Berry up to a race high 2nd place position. We'll see if he can run down the race leader John Hunter Nemechek as we're down to just 92 laps to go. Top 10 following the restart right now. Leads with John Hunter Nemechek out in front by 0.8 of a second over the newcomer in 2nd place, Josh Berry. Sheldon Creed is in 3rd. Austin Hill 4th. Parker Kligerman 5th. Derek Kraus in 6th. Parker Retzlaff in 7th. Ryan Ellis in 8th. Kaz Gralla 9th. And Jeb Burton rounds out the top 10. 23-point difference between Parker Kligerman and Riley Herbst as we run right now. And again, for Austin Hill, to win the regular season championship has to finish within 13 points of John Hunter Nemechek in this final stage. Nemechek is the race leader. Will get 40 points for his finishing position, and then 35 points for second, 1 point between positions behind second. So Hill in fourth right now would be the regular season championship the way we stand. Here's Sammy Smith outside of the infield care center.
So I was kind of just along for the ride there. I tried to have a good restart, felt like I did, and just got put tight on my door there, getting into one, and got free, and then got put on the other three. But thanks to everybody at JGR, TMC for being on the car this weekend. Had a really fast car, and it sucks. We gotta keep digging, and we'll have a good start to the playoffs.
Couple of shout outs here for people that have tuned in recently in the stream. My dog Fulton, thanks for tuning in, as well as David. Who else we have newer in the chat? Tobacco Tom, welcome to the stream. See Mark Witkowski in there. He's been in here for a while, I think. Appreciate it, though. Got over 120 people watching currently. And we're up to 72 likes. Our goal is 100 likes. We're only 28 away as we're down to 90 laps to go in the race. Brandon Jones trying to fight his way back through the field for the third different time. Battling for 10th place. I think they took on fresh tires with that last slide he had, so he only has one set left the rest of the way. And everybody's guaranteed to have to pit at least one more time, as the field window is 55 to 60 laps, and we had 110 lap schedule for this final stage. So they should have to hit pit roads somewhere in the next probably 30 to 40 laps, considering that they were able to save a little bit of gas during the caution flag period, but I'm sure they'll try to more or less split the stage in half as much as they can. Looks like Daniel Hemrick very slow on the apron of the racetrack once again. Brought his car back out onto the track and still having some engine issues there, so they have not been able to diagnose that problem. Good news is he's already pointed his way into the playoffs based off of his consistency he's had earlier this season. And we'll get a top 10 points finish and get a couple more playoff points there as well, as there are playoff points awarded throughout the top 10 in the regular season for all three series. But it's just more points for winning the regular season championship, where you get an additional 15 playoff points, and that's what John Hunter Nemechek is trying to chase right now. Barry got the second place, but it's still a consistent 1 to 2/10 of a second advantage that Nemechek has over Barry on a lap-by-lap basis. So Nemechek holds on to that spot and is kind of driving away with it right now. Hurst has passed quite a few cars since the restart already, as he has worked himself inside the top 20 and up to the 16th place position. Difference now between him and Kligerman is 17 points, so Herbst coming from 2 laps down. With the plethora of cautions we've seen so far this afternoon, he has been able to get back on the lead lap with a wave around and a free pass position, and is still showing somewhat competent speed the rest of the way. Now passes Josh Williams for 15th place, and that difference is now down to 16 points between Kligerman and Herbst. At some point, Herbst is going to need a little bit of help. Even if he drives into the top 10, Parker Kligerman is still going to have to finish 5 or more positions behind Herbst for Herbst to get that final spot, so it's going to be tough. Kligerman's still in P5 right now, and is more than 2 seconds ahead of the car behind him for position, which would be Kraus in 6th. Kind of in a league of his own too, because he's over 2 seconds behind Hill at 4th place ahead of him. Once again, battle for the regular season championship. Nemechek needs to beat Austin Hill by 13 points in this final stage to win the regular season title. Hill in 4th right now, doing what he needs to do to try to bring it home himself. Herbst gaining ground on Joe Graff Jr. and Ryan Ellis. Both those passes could be for position here, and that would be 2 more points for Herbst. Riding the outside lane, half a lane wider than the car on the outside in front of him. Gets a nice run on Ryan Ellis in the 43. Should be able to bump draft that car down the front stretch and look into the outside of Joe Graff Jr., but still can't make his way through the 19 car. Herbst doing what he needs to do right now, which is get himself in contention, especially if we start to see more yellows down the home stretch. Herbst making a pass on Joe Graff Jr. now for 13th. Obviously, there isn't too much damage on that right front fender considering that he is charging back through the field. Great job by that team to do what they have done to try to buff the fender out and mold it back to its original form as much as they possibly could. Because they were taking their time during a couple of stops and they were trapped 2 laps down for a while with all the cautions coming out, which gave them time to try to repair the damage the best that they possibly could. 14 points is the difference. We'll continue to watch that battle as well as the battle for positions within the top 10. Sheldon Creed, lap time-wise, still not able to keep up with Barry after Barry passed him. He's more than 2 seconds behind the second-place car, and Barry is now 2.3 seconds behind John Hunter Nemechek. Down to 81 laps to go. Good run going right now for John Hunter. Dominated the day. Not only winning the first 2 stages of the race, but in the laps led category, he has led the most so far. 73 laps led, and we still have more than that many laps left in the race. Justin Allgaier led 41 laps towards the beginning of the day after qualifying on the pole. A lot of those laps led under caution back in stage 1, but obviously had top 5 speed beyond that. Cole Custer led 3 laps today as well. All under yellow when he won a race off of pit road at the end of stage 1. Nemechek quickly got back around him on the race start, and he has said bye-bye ever since. Still 2.3 second advantage. About 0.02 of a second that last lap, Barry was actually quicker than Nemechek. And it did seem like Barry was a lot stronger in the long run, so maybe he's trying to save his tires just a little bit more at this point in the run, now trying to charge just a little bit harder. Battle for position between Parker Retzlaff and Brandon Jones. That battle is going to be for 7th place. Great job by Brandon Jones trying to recover and still trying to get himself in contention to potentially pull off the win and get into the playoffs at the 11th hour. Not impossible. 79 to go. Going to be getting closer to green flag pit stops, probably less than 20 laps away from starting to see some of the bigger names come onto pit road. And still sitting at 29 cars on the lead lap. Your top 5 as we run, John Hunter Nemechek with a 2.7 second lead over Josh Berry in 2nd. Sheldon Creed is 4.9 seconds back in 3rd. Austin Hill in 4th place is 6.7 seconds off the lead. And Parker Kligerman in 5th is 8.7 seconds off the lead. That is your top 5. With 78 laps to go in the Kansas Lottery 300, the regular season finale for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Up to 75 likes on the stream. Be sure to hit that like button if you have not done so yet. We're 25 likes away from our goal tonight. Herbst looking to get by Moffitt. Moffitt blocking down the back straightaway. Herbst looking to get to his outside and should be able to do so pretty easily. Moffitt going to flatline the entry into turn 3 a little bit. As he tries to stay glued to that line, Herbst blowing around him on the top. And Riley Herbst has made his way back inside the top 10. What a comeback from 2 laps down after an earlier incident, having to make an unscheduled green flag stop with a flat right front tire following contact with Parker Kligerman on the restart. And now Riley Herbst is back up to 10th place. And honestly, he's within about a second to a second and a half of the 7th place car, Brandon Jones. So more points still available as he tries to meet up with Kligerman in 5th. Herbst had a 1-point advantage over Kligerman at the very start of the race today, but got outscored in both stages 1 and 2, which has now put him in a position where he has to beat Kligerman by 5+ positions to get into the playoffs. Nemechek still working through lap traffic as the NBC crew will go to a commercial break right now, a NASCAR nonstop break. We'll go through the full field running order rundown for the first time today. Haven't done it yet because we've had a lot of cautions, so there hasn't really been a lot of breaks in the action or commercials during green flag action. John Hunter Nemechek is out in front now, a 3.5 second lead over Josh Berry in 2nd. Sheldon Creed is 3rd, Austin Hill 4th, and Parker Kligerman rounds out the top 5. Derek Kraus in 6th, Brandon Jones 7th, Parker Retzlaff in 8th, Kaz Grell in 9th, Riley Herbst is 10th. Brett Moffitt in 11th, 12th place is Ryan Sieg, Joe Graff Jr. in 13th, Josh Williams 14th, Jeb Burton is 15th, Mason Massey in 16th, Kyle Sieg 17th, Ryan Ellis 18th, Connor Mosack 19th, and Dawson Cram is 20th. Raja Caruth in 21st, Matt Mills 22nd, Jeremy Clements 23rd, and Blaine Perkins is the last car on the lead lap in 24th. Joey Gase currently in the free pass position in 25th for the short time being. Leland Honeyman in 26th, Garrett Smithley 27th, CJ McLaughlin 28th, Anthony Alfredo 29th, Justin Allgaier is 30th. Brendan Poole in 31st, Nick Lights 32nd, Chandler Smith 33rd is the last car running on the racetrack, and then 34th on back of DNF today. Sammy Smith in 34th, Cole Custer 35th, Daniel Hemrick 36th, Sam Bayer 37th, and Kyle Weatherman will round out the 38-car field. Almost 2 hours since the drop of the green flag today. Everybody has to pit at least one more time as we're down to 72 laps to go. Average race speed, a very slow 97.060 miles per hour with the 8 cautions we have already seen in this race. Have we seen the last caution? We'll have to wait and find out. Riley Herbst will be the first car to pit road, it looks like, during green flag stops. I'm not sure if he might have cut the right front down again or not. Looks like he maybe got up into the wall as that right front fender seems to be a little bit more bashed in. Whatever the case is, pit stop going on for Herbst right now. Looking to short pit. And they're banging out the right front fender, so I believe Herbst has gotten into the wall once more.
Speedway, the makeshift fender that is the right front had come apart. He had to come to pit road before it got worse. He's waiting now to see if there's any damage from that, everything there flapping around. The crew going back in there, making sure he can get back out there. But now, back laps down after he got back on the lead lap. It was charging forward.
Well, laps down, and now at the top of the screen, you see the 48 of Parker Kligerman. I think the task in front of him is very, very clear, right? Finish somewhere on the lead lap, somewhere inside the top 10 or 15 will probably do what you need to do, assuming we don't have that winner. And the 9 of Jones is up to 7th with a ton of pace. I know he's behind a set of tires, but if you're the 48, the best that you can do is be faster than the 9 and try to hold him up, not let him just clear through as he's driving up through the field.
So make that 48 pretty wide?
Well, not wide enough to get wrecked, but wide enough that, you don't want him to just drive through nice and clean. You want to at least put a fight up.
Yeah, Parker Kligerman's driven a great race today. He's done everything he's needed to do. Great on restarts. He got track position, put Riley in a position where he had to push harder than he wanted to multiple times. They've just been calm, cool, collected, executed. That execution's been the strength of this team over the last 2 months. And right now, that is enough to get this thing done to make the playoffs.
Parker's story is interesting, too, in the fact that he ran truck races, he's had wins there, has been a broadcaster for a couple years now. But last year, he got the nod. They said, we want you to run full-time in the Xfinity Series for this 48 team. He said, I'm going to do it. I'm running full-time, but I will still work on Sundays on the broadcast team.
The other thing I think this 48 team did that was really wise is they were able to put together their deal for next year in the middle of this battle. And I know people that, hey, what does next year matter? Well, anyone, when you have career concerns, job concerns, they have to be distracting. Race car drivers, most of them in this series are year to year. The fact that Parker knew he was coming back, I think really allowed him to focus on this task at hand. So that was well done by everyone really at the 48 team.
People have been wanting to see Parker in a full-time ride that was decent because they felt like that he was somewhat overachieving and very dependable in his truck series opportunities, as limited as they were over the last several years. And finally got a full-time ride. But the other thing I like right now, I know that they're trying to finish this race out, get themselves into the playoffs, but the speed they've shown today, it's better than what they've shown at the other ovals throughout the year. We look at Parker as kind of a road course guy and expect him to have great speed at those racetracks. At the ovals, they've been sort of backside the top 10, 11th, 12th, places like that, working hard just to run in those positions. Today, though, you talked about this brand new car. They brought real speed to this race. I know we've had some attrition, some cars fall out, but Parker was running 5th, 6th place from the very beginning of this race. So it's real speed in this car going forward into the playoffs.
And the only thing he did wrong all day was this right here. He just didn't get it in third gear, contact from behind, and then even though it was a little bit of a mistake, he still got the game because Riley Herbst is behind him. The contact, Riley Herbst tried to go inside, got right front fender damage. Riley saw it opening and went for it, and just got a little too aggressive there. And that started the downhill spiral.
Now the concern or the challenge is everything that was just said is real. Riley Herbst is 29th, 2 laps down, but there's still 66 to go in this race. We've seen flat tires. We watched Cole Custer hit a tire carcass in turn 1, right? The 48 still has to get this thing to the finish line. Now, he can be a little bit, I say put the mittens on, right? He can be a little bit more cautious around people, not take undue risk, but it's still auto racing, and we've seen crazier things happen.
Well, restarts, right? We've seen wrecks right after restarts. We've seen contact. We've seen all sorts of things, and you're still exposed to that danger.
You see?
Hey, you know who else knows it's not over? My man, Patrick Donahue. He has been racing a long time crew member of Jeff Gordon's team back in the 90s. He has seen it all. He's seen the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, and he is fiery, and I like it. And you can say he is crew chiefing until the checkered flag. He is assuming nothing is all set.
I think he wants Parker off that wall a little bit.
I think he does.
Yeah.
I said 2 feet. Move that thing down a little bit, please.
Arms in the air. It's like, what's he doing? What's happening?
Just let him do his thing. Parker's earned it.
Oh, we got a car spinning around turn 4.
Yeah, coming off of 4, it's the 45. And so, Raja Caruth spins into the grass, and the caution comes out.
Caruth got a little bit of help over there in the middle of turns 3 and 4.
Steve, this is too early for tires?
This is your chance. Yes.
This is it?
Yes and yes. 63 to go. We think they can run 55 to 60, but everybody's going to have to pit at this point.
He just said, I didn't hear the name, but I thought I heard him say someone spun him out.
Then we have some evidence.
Yeah, let's take a look at it. Looks like the 53 car. Bills gets into the left rear quarter panel, very light touch. It's enough to turn the 45 around down the front straightaway on the pit road.
Yeah, they're running for position 19th. That's job standing in the gas, keeping it on the fence.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. When your car gets turned around like that, if you lift or slam on the brakes, it's going to slide into the wall. So he stands in the throttle and drives it down the racetrack. Try to steer the car or drive the car away from the wall.
And Raja was trying to work his way up, trying to match last night, 12th in the truck race.
He had a good run last week in Darlington in this car as well. Tough little racetrack. Came home in the top 20.
Setback in practice earlier today. He spun in practice and missed a lot of it because you couldn't put another set of tires on.
That spin came out of turn 4 in practice earlier today, but this one, a little bit of help there, Raja. The 21-year-old out of Washington, D.C.
So another thing as we look at the 48 crew, we were talking about it's definitely not over, and all of that is still true. The other thing that's helping Parker, Jeff, you mentioned restarts. Well, there's 15 cars in the lead lap. That long green flag run. So now, now is that tough decision. When do you stop racing and just start checking the box at the task at hand? I think Brandon Jones in 7th is not allowing you to just check the box. I think he's going to force you to continue to race. Try to be offensive. The 98, unfortunately, continues to have issues with the damage repair, Dave.
Well, Steve, part of the problem on that run for the 98 of Herbst was how John Hunter Nemechek was mowing down the field. He'd lapped all the way up through 16th. So Riley's laps down situation are not 1 lap down with those guys. He's 2 laps down. So he's got that problem going on. Still trying to get the right front suspension correct so that right front doesn't tear out again.
Back to your point about when is it? Is it too early? Well, pit road being closed helps everyone. We're at 61 to go now. Pit's going to open at 60. We hear 55 to 60. Even if you're a 55 car with some caution laps, and this is a track I think you can save a little gas, that I think everyone can confidently come in and put tires on. Now, we have to get an update after this pit stop to see how many the 9 has left. I was waiting to see, are those stickers on the wall for the 9 car? That would answer the question. There's stickers for all these guys for sure. Oh, there you go. Question answered.
Yep.
Still has a brand new set in the pits. Now he just wants this thing to go green from here. Kim.
And Sheldon Creed reporting to the team, the longer they ran, the freer it got on that Chevy. It's going to be 4 fresh Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel. He asked for a slight chassis adjustment too. You see the wrench going in right there. Parker Kligerman said, I started to get loose center to exit, but my big request is make it turn better in the center. Completing service, 4 fresh Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel for Parker. Dave.
Josh Berry in the 8 was loose. They'll make an adjustment for that. John Hunter Nemechek was asked, did your car go tight enough for us to work on it? John said, I just don't think so, but they're going to take some air pressure out of the front tires anyway.
See the race off pit road continuing. A bit slow for the 11. Kligerman holding on to that 5th spot, but it wasn't easy getting onto pit road. Take a look at this, a little bit of contact. You don't want to make mistakes, even coming to pit road. With the race off, John Hunter Nemechek grabs that top spot again.
I watched my first race yesterday.
You're on the team, kid. It's orientation day.
Hey, new guy, let's get you up to speed.
Lunchtime.
Your workspace is ready. Looks like you got a corner office.
Be part of something greater. Toyota. Let's go places.
You know what, a melty grilled cheese sounds so good, but so does a bacon burger with creamy peppercorn ranch. And you couldn't possibly choose, cause brain don't work too good when tummy empty. Sonic Bacon Peppercorn Ranch grilled cheese burger deal for $3.99.
Okay, again, this is a status bar, this is a search bar. Let's know the difference, okay? Social media. It can be overwhelming for a young homeowner.
Apologize for that. Alright, we are back. Hopefully I'm not going to get copyrighted for any music playing on any ads that went on while I was gone. And I missed pit stops, assuming that they had them already, so I'm not sure what the running order looks like. Let me know in the chat if they had pit stops yet or not. I'm not sure if they did or not. I could take my phone with me to keep an eye on the race, so that way you guys could listen to the audio of what was going on. 7 cautions to go. I hope we don't see that many more. Sitting at 9 cautions on the race already. This is the first one of stage 3. Second one of stage 3, sorry. The Creed, Allgaier, Jones, and Sammy Smith accident was on the first lap of that initial restart to begin the stage. Austin Hill up to 3rd place. I think he and Creed traded positions. Heading to the choose rule, so yeah, pit stops have definitely taken place already. And they're right on the border being able to make it on fuel to the end. I would think that they can go good on fuel to the end of the race with 57 green flag laps. The window's 55 to 60 laps today. 39 car. Ryan Sieg is stalled out of the racetrack, so this is going to lengthen the caution out a little bit more. He'll get a push start, but I would imagine that they might end up waving off the green flag for one more lap. So wait for the 39 to get back to pit road. 17 cars on the lead lap then once Sieg gets back into the pits and ends up going a lap down. 24 car of Connor Mosak got the free pass at that last incident to get back on the lead lap. And there were a couple cars that took the wave around. Ryan Ellis and CJ McLaughlin, I believe, took the wave around to also get back on the lead lap, which gives us the 17 cars that we have right now. 7-point difference between Austin Hill and John Hunter Nemechek as we run right now. So as long as Austin Hill gets a top 10 finish today, even if Nemechek wins, And John Hunter Nemechek will be the Austin Hill will be the regular season champion if he finishes in the top 10. Again, that is assuming that Nemechek wins the race. Nemechek doesn't win, then Hill can finish a little bit further back than that. Just has to be within 13 points of the 20 car at the end of this race based off of their Stage 3 finishes. Green flag back in the air. Great push from the 21 to the 20. It looked like Barry might have spun his tires on the inside of row 1 as well, as he's going to get brake trained here. Car split 3 wide, a little bit further back behind some of them. Austin Hill putting the fight to Barry for second place down the backstretch as they're door-to-door. Barry side drafting Hill. And left rear corner panel getting a nice pull. Hill went to chase the 8 car down the track just a little bit, and it's going to be enough as it looked like Barry might have overdrove the entry a bit as he came up off the white line. And they're still side-by-side for second, but as much side drafting as they're doing with one another, Nemechek's pulling away as he takes the shortcut down to the apron. That first lap up to speed past the start-finish line. Brandon Jones trying to get some spots back. Hill with a big moment, had the lift in the middle of 1 and 2. Falls to third. Brandon Jones up the middle as he splits the 48 and the 2, and he's going to get up to 4th place. Great move by Brandon Jones there. He's got one less set of tires than everybody else to the end. We're under caution again on the racetrack, and again it's Raja Karuth spinning, slides way up the racetrack in front of traffic, comes back down the asphalt, and almost collects a couple of other cars that narrowly escape by. Second straight spin for Karuth to bring out a caution, our 10th caution of the race today. As we have hit double digits and we still have 55 laps to go. As if the race can't get any longer. Can't tell if there was contact from behind or not. Slid up into the outside lane. Yeah, it looked like he got hooked. I think the car behind him got into Karuth as he was getting into turn 3 and kind of turned him basically. Knocked him into the fence and then he lost control. Karuth was a lap down at the time of that incident. I'm not sure if he was on the lead lap in the first spin and then he ended up getting something back there, whatever the case was. He's going to lose a little bit more ground. Free pass goes to Jeremy Clements in 18th place. He'll get back on the lead lap. And this will allow for these teams to save just a little bit more fuel now under the caution. They were more than likely going to make it to the end of the race, but now this is going to only further ensure that they will not have to pit for fuel the rest of the way. A lot of these teams have a set of tires left remaining. Brandon Jones does not. I don't believe he has an extra set. He is up to 4th. Couple of spins today. He went off strategy to get one of those sets back, but then he couldn't do that here with the Stage 3 pit stop. He could have stayed out and then pitted later, but then there was a danger of having a long green flag run, and he goes a lap down again, so he had to pit there. And he really needs a long green flag run to the finish. That's going to be the best thing for Jones, because if we get a late caution, everybody else can come down and take tires. He will not be able to, and he will not be able to hold on with the rest of those cars with the fall-off we've seen today in this race. How long has Karuth been racing in the Xfinity Series? I don't know. I mean, this is his rookie season in the Cup side. Or, not the Cup side, sorry, the Truck Series. He's running full-time in the trucks. I think he's only running part-time in the Xfinity Series this year, so he's only made a handful of starts. I mean, he runs most of the weeks, but a lot of standalone events for the Xfinity Series he hasn't ran. Same for the, or if the trucks have a standalone on the same weekend, Xfinity is racing wherever Cup Series is at, he'll miss those weekends too. But weekends at the truck and the Xfinity Series are at the track at the same time. He's been running those Xfinity races as well as the Truck Series. Still very young. What is he, like 19? He might have ran part-time last year, too. With Alpha Prime. Way less races than what he would have this year. He was in ARCA last year, though, wasn't he? I think he was full-time in ARCA last season. And then he made the full-time jump to this series, I believe. Or not this, again, the truck series. I keep saying everything but the truck side.
What does he need to do in these last 52 laps?
Just be smart. We keep the tires and the fenders on it and don't have any mechanical problems. I think we can get out of here and close the deal. The guys have done a great job preparing, and the cars had good speed all day. And I think all we've done is adjust the air pressure, and pit stops have been good. So hopefully we get out of here in the next 50 laps and go race at Bristol.
Restarts are crazy here at Kansas. As you look at this next one, what are you hoping for Parker?
Come off turn 2.
There you have it. Dave?
I'm sure that's what Ben Bayshore wants as well with his driver, who's been mowing him down out there. Any more concerns with that vibration earlier?
No, we think we found what it was in the last stop. There was a lug nut jammed in between the wheel and the caliper. Luckily, it was just enough that it sort of clearanced itself over 20 laps, so I think we're okay now.
Wow, and you can see that regular season championship too, right? Sweep of the stages?
Yeah, it all probably depends on if we can finish this thing out in front, and maybe the 21 loses a few more spots. But yeah, we're just gonna keep plugging away one lap at a time and see what it gives us.
Charging as hard as they can. And by the way, Riley Herbst in the 98 back on pit road, and he had to make some changes to that car. The right front of the splitter was gone on the car. He said it was just flapping around that fender, and that's why he had to come back down. Felt like he was going to crash.
Yeah, I mean, the 98 at this point, it's...
Tough break for Herbst continues. Still got a battle for that last playoff spot, though, right now. Even though Kligerman's in 5th and Riley Herbst has just made another unscheduled pit stop and remains 2 laps down in 29th. The reason why I say that is because Brandon Jones, who would need a win to make it into the playoffs, is in 4th for this upcoming restart. He'll be on the inside of row 2 behind his teammate Josh Berry. We'll see if Jones can get it done. Be a heck of a bottom of the 9th walk-off home run kind of a win to make his way into the playoffs. Jones did win this race in the fall in 2019 with Joe Gibbs Racing. It's one of his better racetracks. Also had a win here in the summer of 2020 as well, which would have been the spring race, but because of COVID pushing that date back just a little bit, they ran it in July. So 2 career wins at this racetrack. Looking for a solid run here today, but he needs a win to get in. We'll see if he can do it. Parker Kligerman in 5th place, going to try to do whatever he can to make sure that that does not happen. But he also needs to remain in this race, because if he gets knocked out of it, then Herbst still has a chance to outpoint him, even though he is in 29th. There are still 33 cars on the racetrack and running laps. We'll have an even 50 laps to go when we get back to racing here, 3/4 of the way home. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't yet. We are down to just 19 likes away to get to our goal of 100 for the rest of the race. Green flag back in the air. John Hunter Nemechek gets a good push. Austin Hill going to maybe try to take over the race lead. He doesn't really have a chance to pull 3 wide to the top, so he just pushes the 20 all the way into the corner. Berry doing a great job on the inside lane, at least until he gets through the middle portion of 1 and 2. He can't hang on with the 20 any longer. And Nemechek leads. Hill in 3rd place, and now Parker Kligerman trying to go for 4th on Brandon Jones. Hill cuts all the way to the bottom, almost squeezed Jones off, who had a great run on that bottom lane. Not only cleared the 48, but gets alongside the 21. Hill aggressive, trying to side draft the right rear corner panel of the 9 car. Both of them are down to the apron. Jones ripping the bottom, and he's up to 3rd, and now trying to get alongside his teammate Berry for 2nd. Kligerman underneath the 21 car of Austin Hill for 4th place. In the middle of 3 and 4, Hill struggles to get through the entry of the corner. Kligerman trying to slide up, not going to be able to clear Hill. And Hill will take the charge now in that run off the high side and be able to clear Kligerman into 1 for 4th. As that battle continues on, the battle for 2nd also continues on between Jones and Berry. Kligerman all over that white line with the left side of his race car through 1 and 2. Austin Hill a little loose off turn 2. Right rear was hanging out quite a bit. Very close to clearing him. Big slide job incoming for Brandon Jones as he takes over second from Josh Berry to the inside lane as he was able to carry so much speed through the corner. Berry might have also just let him through to see if his teammates got a shot to win the race and get into the postseason. He's 0.7 of a second behind John Hunter Nemechek, who has dominated today. Jones has been involved in 2 incidences, but relatively has kept that car clean. And now he's trying to push it to the limit to run down the 20 car and get in when it matters the most. Nemechek's ran off the wall the last couple of corners. For 3 and 4, he went more towards the middle. Brandon Jones just about a half a lane wider than him. He wasn't all the way up against the wall, though, either. 46 laps remain. Kligerman did get by Austin Hill for 4th. And he is within a half a second of Josh Berry for 3rd place, but nobody is quite as quick on the racetrack as the top 2 right now of Nemechek and Jones. Jones moving up a little bit higher. That time through 3 and 4, trying to get all the speed he can on the front stretch. Nemechek that last lap was about a full 10th quicker, though. Hill going to get back by the 48 car with a slide job of his own through 1 and 2 to get back into 4th place. Austin Hill is 6 points ahead of Nemechek in the regular season standings. Hill turning off the wall down into that middle of bottom groove in the middle of 3 and 4 despite starting all the way up towards the top. Diamond in the corner off just a little bit. And that's staying all the way near the wall all the way through the corner to carry more straightaway speed. Different approach to trying to make his corners around this racetrack. I've seen him do that a few other times today. Not sure if that's working out better for him than just running the wall, or if it's a handling issue that he just can't run up there consistently or comfortably. Nemechek's still pulling away, over a 1 second lead over Brandon Jones now. I'm sure Jones is pushing really hard, but maybe there's a chance he's saving tires for later in the run. Falling back far enough now, even if he was in the same line, he wouldn't have to worry about having any sort of a dirty air issue. 3 wide goes Chandler Smith between the Jordan Anderson Racing Chevys. Smith again not racing for position as he's in 32nd, 14 laps down after a mechanical issue earlier, which put him in the garage before returning back to the track. Justin Allgaier trying to battle to be the first car 1 lap down with Kyle Sieg and Matt Mills currently in the 19th place position. She is definitely running well enough to be able to hold on to that free pass spot if we ended up seeing an 11th caution. There isn't that many cars on the lead lap currently, only 18 of them. And 1 set of tires left the rest of the way. Allgaier's been fast. But the later the caution comes, the less laps he's going to have to try to dice his way through the field. .2 seconds now is the advantage between 1st and 2nd place. Brett Moffitt up in 6th place is starting to run down Parker Kligerman as well. Great run going from Moffitt. Kligerman a little bit quicker than Brett that last lap. And Austin Hill starting to run down Josh Berry now for 3rd. So maybe diamonding the corners off just a little bit for Austin Hill is working out. That time he didn't start all the way near the wall, but he still cut down in the center of the corner. The only reason he didn't start all the way near the wall is because he was right behind the 8 car. Didn't want to risk getting too tight in the dirty air, which definitely wouldn't have allowed him to turn as far down in the center of the corner. I mean, that last lap, Austin Hill was quicker than Josh Berry and similar lap time to that of Brandon Jones in 2nd, but he was still slower than Nemechek, who leads the race. Nemechek has led over 100 laps today. 115 to be exact. He won the first 2 stages. getting himself now a 9 slot in that stage win column this year. Came in with 7, gets 2 more. And trying to get another 5 playoff points. His chances of getting the 15 for winning the regular season championship aren't looking as vital as they were when he initially won those first 2 stages, as Austin Hill's kind of moved forward in the running order just a little bit, and now up to 3rd place once again after passing Barry the last lap for P3. Your top 5 with 38 laps to go has John Hunter Nemechek in the lead, Brandon Jones 2nd, Austin Hill 3rd, Josh Berry 4th, and Parker Kligerman is in 5th. Still 19 likes away from our goal of 100 on the stream, so if you have not hit that like button yet, again, be sure to do so. And subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Joe Graff Jr. nearly got into the outside wall there moments ago. Turns 1 and 2. Trying to fend off Josh Williams for position as they battle for 12th. Retzlaff has fallen outside the top 10, now back to 11th. He was as high as 7th early in this stage. Definitely fading on the long run during this current green flag run that we are on. And with not having to pit again the rest of this race, Nemechek's been good on both the short and the long run today. I don't know that anybody's going to have enough to run him down unless we get a late caution, which would force a lot of the cars at the front of the field to pit, depending on the amount of laps left, of course, which is still quite a few laps. Up to 86 likes now. We're getting there. We are definitely getting there. 0.2 quicker that last lap for Nemechek versus Jones. Jones is still in 2nd, but Austin Hill lap time wise has caught Brandon Jones. Hill was a 10th quicker that last lap than the 9. Fitting that you have the top 2 in points this deep in the season. Could potentially be running 1-2 once again if Hill catches that 9 car over the couple of laps to come. And you wonder if Austin Hill, running the lane he is maybe burning his tires off a little more. I would like to think he probably is because of how harshly he's turning it. There's a chance maybe it saves the tires a little bit better. He could catch Nemechek's lap times, but he's 4.4 seconds off the lead. And he hasn't quite caught him in the lap time side of things yet. I'm not sure where he was in comparison to Nemechek's lap times like 10 or so laps ago versus where we're at now. Jeb Burton has creeped back into the top 10, currently up to 9th. Good run for Jeb. Trying to get some momentum going before the playoffs begin next week at Bristol. Again, he is one of the drivers in the playoffs, virtue of a win that he had at Talladega earlier this season. If it wasn't for Sammy Smith and Jeb Burton getting a win this season, Riley Herbst would actually be in the playoffs. Hearst came into this race 10th in the season standings. 12 drivers make the playoffs, but the 12th and 13th place drivers in the points behind him have wins, which is what put him on the bubble to begin this race. Jeb Burton probably would have made it. I should say he probably wouldn't have made it on points, but there's actually a chance he could have with Sammy Smith out of the race. I know they would have raced differently per circumstances, but he was about 36 points behind him. Behind Sammy Smith, that is. And again, Sammy wrecked out early in the race. Looks like one more race on the main NBC for the Xfinity Series the rest of the year. That will be when they go to the Charlotte Roval. Nemechek up on that outside lane. He was about a lane off of it for about the first, 15 or so laps of the run, maybe 20 laps, and now he's moved all the way up against it. As we count down the laps, we're at 29 laps to go.
Shows up each and every week.
I think the biggest thing with this 20 car is when they get into the playoffs, speed is not a concern. But what we've seen in the past, John Hunter Nemechek racing in the Truck Series, racing for championships, he's pushed a little too hard, got himself in trouble. And that has been the problem. But I see a different John Hunter this year. I see a more mature, a more calculative. I think he's smarter, and he's applying all those lessons. But going into it, that to me is the focus for this team. Keep the speed up, minimize the mistakes.
Ben Bayshore watching on, and others watching on. We mentioned earlier how these drivers, both Xfinity Series and Cup Series, are honoring cancer heroes. Well, the name on the side of the 20 is Tom Goddard. He was nominated by Jamie Goddard. Jamie said, "He was the hero not only to me while growing up, but also to my mom, sister, and brother when he was diagnosed with cancer. It made him a superhero, how he navigated all the treatments he was put through." They asked, why did you select John Hunter Nemechek for Tom's name to be on that car? The John Hunter's kindness and determination reminds me of my dad. And so that's the cancer hero riding along right now with John Hunter Nemechek here in the Xfinity Series race.
Austin Hill back in third. Talk about drivers moving up. This guy here has made the announcement that he's going to stick around. All the other competitors were sad to hear that because he's actually turned into quite the competitor in this series. When Austin came into the Xfinity Series, we all knew he was really great at the restricted plate tracks, Daytona and Talladega. Really great at Atlanta with a new configuration there. But we weren't really sure what kind of driver he was otherwise, and he has developed a lot. He's with an organization that's good enough to help him survive some of the adversity that you go through as you do develop. Great pit crew, been able to gain him a lot of spots on pit road, and he's turned into a bit of a closer. Might not start the race with the most speed, might not start the first stage with the best track position, but they find it. They get it on pit road, or he gets it late in the race on the racetrack. And now, he's running great everywhere. Awesome last week at Darlington, a driver's racetrack. There's 21. I know they're going to possibly win the regular season points today. He's had a great season. I did not see that coming into this year. He is absolutely taken the challenge of winning this championship to Nemechek. I thought Nemechek was a clear favorite this year to win this championship, but now he's got company.
Speaking of company, Creed and Moffitt, those two are tight right now for the 6th position. Creed has it, Moffitt right on his back bumper.
It was a nice pass right there by Sheldon Creed. Did a really good job of just kind of slide jobbing a little bit, putting Moffitt in a position where he had to lift. And you talk about that 21 car, Richard Childress racing, his teammate, Sheldon Creed, he's going to make the playoffs. And what Sheldon Creed do we see? The Sheldon we've seen lately is avoiding problems, connecting the dots, finishing races. That's the Sheldon Creed we need to see going into these playoffs. If they do that, they have enough speed to apply some pressure to some teams and advance themselves through.
And again, right behind him is Moffitt, who just lost that spot, Kim.
And how about what Brett Moffitt has been able to do for this AM racing team this season? A small team. Remember, he got that 4th place finish at Chicago, which marks the first ever top 5 finish for the team in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. But then they were on a little bit of a roller coaster. So the goal for these next handful of races, Brett said the tracks were really good for him. It was to level things out. And remember, I talked earlier about the confidence he had here because of the top 10 finishes he had in 3 of his 4 starts at Kansas. Well, I mentioned that to him, and he said running in the top 10 all day is the goal. If that happens, then their aim is the top 5. Currently, he sits in the 7th position, just 2 spots from the ultimate goal for that team here today at Kansas.
Remember, Brett Moffitt is a driver that, during COVID broke both legs in a motocross accident. I mean, I've talked about it a few times, and it's just a really serious, gruesome injury as we see a big wiggle out of the 8 right there at the 48, but, you know, to see Brett Moffitt even really in a race car, I mean, you forget about such a serious injury.
Parker.
Ooh.
Okay.
Parker.
I want a shot of Patrick Donahue right now. Chief.
I wish he was wearing like one of those wearables we could check his heart rate, because right there it probably went through there. Look at him. I know Patrick very well, and that face is try not to look. You see the little head shake right there?
Oh,
no, that was the one. Don't show it. I know they're shooting me on camera. Don't show your emotion. And finally, we got the little head shake of what is he doing out there?
He's passing. He's going to the front.
Up to 4th for Parker Kligerman.
Race car drivers, Rick. Race car drivers.
How about Parker Kligerman and his team going into the playoffs? You know, we're talking about every team. Let's assume, I hate to do that, but let's just think for a moment that they're going to make the playoffs. This team has brought a ton of consistency in the last couple months. They've executed. They ran well last week, got spun out. That was none of their doing. But they have executed races as well as anybody. A little bit of problem with pit crew. They've been really solid today, but this team, if they can get themselves into playoffs and this thing finishes out, I think they're dangerous. I don't think they have the speed that Nemechek or Jones has, but what they do have is consistency, and they're working very well together as a team.
Remember in pre-race, he brought up the championship 4. He was already looking forward to that, knowing and confident that they could be that type of a team.
And doesn't this make them better? You know, I think now, if they can get through this, they can look at each other and say, hey, we answered the call in a big moment. We found a way to get this done and also run fast and run it 4th. And I just think that makes them that much more dangerous.
Well, and the other layer I'll add to this is this team gets a lot of help from Richard Childress Racing. And when you look at the current running order, you have the 20, which is a Gibbs Toyota, the 9, which is a Junior Motorsports Chevrolet. And then you have Austin Hill out of the RCR camp, and then Kligerman. So I say that because he's outrunning the 2 of Creed, which is a house car for RCR. The Collet cars are also in that same technical alliance. So when it comes down to nuts and bolts is one thing, but now this is people. And the human element, and the 48 is finding a way to outrun those that have reasonably the same equipment.
Yeah.
We talk about Parker's consistency. Recently, only 3 finishes outside the top 10 in the last 11 races. They've had speed. They've executed well, just been caught up in a few mistakes that were not their own. So I asked Parker earlier today before he climbed aboard the car, okay, give me one word if you miss the playoffs. He said disappointment. But then I said, give me one word if you make the playoffs. And he said expected. He was calling his shot. He had the confidence in the team that they could get it done today and find themselves in that final playoff position.
Playoffs are going to be a blast, Rick. I mean, just like this race was nearly impossible to predict, I think that's what we're going to see over there. You just showed the schedule, a group of tracks. I know they don't have Talladega in their schedule like the Cup cars do, but, you know, there are so many ups and downs over the course of the Xfinity Series playoffs with the Roval and Bristol and so many opportunities.
Parker Kligerman, if he continues on this path, will get a playoff point because he will be 10th in the regular season standings. So that's another playoff point, or a playoff point that he can carry on into the playoffs with him. That's the big battle right now that's still going on, is the regular season championship between the 21 and 20. It's still separated by 7 points. So Austin Hill running 3rd right now has a 7-point advantage over the 20 of John Hunter Nemechek for the regular season championship, which he will get 15 playoff points if the 21 is able to continue on and win the regular season championship. Those are huge when you're trying to get to Phoenix.
Watching the lap times on the racetrack, Parker Kligerman's running a little bit quicker than Austin Hill. He's a couple seconds behind, but could run him down. Just a few laps to go. It's a battle right here for 10th place between Graff Jr., the 19 on the inside, the black car, and Jet Burton right there in that 27.
Sliding up the racetrack.
Parker is only about 10, 15 car lengths behind the 21. And for the last couple of laps, at least 2 tenths, sometimes 3 faster than Austin Hill. Now, how do you manage that, right? You're driving to assured spot in the playoffs, but you got a car out there in front of you can go catch. That's always fun too.
Well, we know how competitive Parker is, and I'm sure he's going to try to reel him in. Austin Hill again just in front of Parker Kligerman, Dave.
And Rick, he was being kept appraised of what was going on with the 20 of John Hunter Nemechek, told how many points he was ahead, but also told he didn't have to save fuel anymore. So a lot of the drivers got right in the final fuel window for many teams, but he's good on fuel too, so it looks like he's just losing time to Parker on pure pace.
So we just have to remember, I think everybody's good on fuel, but as great as this run is by Parker Kligerman, the only thing that's holding Brandon Jones out of the playoffs right now is John Hunter Nemechek leading this race. Now, I know the gap is over 5 seconds, but he's in traffic. He's running the top. You know, this is anything but a straightforward event for the leader. Now, John Hunter's doing an amazing job, but Brandon Jones has at least put himself back into the competition here with 11, or into the conversation with 11 laps to go. You know, we've seen crazier thing happen, so we'll just have to see. I don't want to quite award the 48 the playoffs yet.
Oh no, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Junior, you talked about the 48 of Kligerman and the pace he's got. Let's look what he's doing. So he's changed the way he's approaching this racetrack. So most everybody is running on the corner exit really high up against the wall. Parker, watch what he does. Clears that car, goes straight to the top, right? Straight to the top. Runs the top lane, and now he waits on the throttle, gets the car pointed, goes to the throttle, turns it down the hill, and leaves closer to the bottom. And that is working for him. That has helped his car. Now, other people are not having success doing that, but every car drives different. And you have to be willing to search. You have to be willing to look things differently and try something. And look, even off turn 4, leaves way on the bottom, and he is making big gains on the 21 by doing it.
That's 21 right there in front of him. So with 9 laps to go, Parker Kligerman in heavy traffic right here has an opportunity, not necessarily needing to gain this position. So it's a bit of a risk versus reward here. You're locked into the playoffs if the race finish as is. This really early right there. Trying to get some clean air so you can finish the corner.
Well, this battle is dragging the 2 of Sheldon Creed into this battle as well. If I'm Patrick Donahue, the crew chief, I'm not wanting to battle. I'm just saying, hey, man, if the 2 gets to you, just let him go. We don't need this spot.
He's so much faster. Look how he did that, though. He lifted really, really early to finish the corner, ran right back up over 21.
Spots, you're doing great.
Like, we don't need any spots. So, yes, so the 2's coming from behind. That may occupy him a little bit.
But Austin Hill has adjusted his line. He was told or saw what the 48 was doing. Now look what he's doing. He's leaving the corner much lower, but he's sideways. The back of that car is not in the racetrack.
Parker's best finish this year already is second.
So I just want to bring, 7 laps to go. We are right on the edge of their fuel window. I expect all these drivers to make it, but just remember, they don't have quite as much information as the Cup cars do that with the electronic fuel injection. This is old school with the carburetor. I mean, everybody's on red when it comes to fuel. So you just, anything can happen. We watched Chase Elliott run out of gas at Watkins Glen from one of the biggest organizations with all the information. So it can happen.
Let him go. We're good. 5 to go. Let him go.
2 of Creed.
You'll get the 21.
He gets by Parker, and you heard crew chief right there say, let him go.
Well, Sheldon Creed, he's got a lot of speed. We talked about those guys running lower on corner exit. Sheldon's right up against the boards, and that's working for him.
These are teammates. We'll see how much Austin Hill puts up a fight now as Creed has got to his back bumper.
Well, you see on the bottom left, we talked a lot about Patrick Donahue, the crew chief. Well, here's Scott Borchetta. This is the owner of this 48 team, Big Machine Records. He's the sponsor on the car. An avid racer himself was in a really severe accident this spring. We saw him at Nashville, his hometown, recovering from the accident. It's great to see Scott on the race, or back to the racetrack, and it's great to see Scott with the nerves. I mean, this is a man who's found huge success in the music business, but he's looking on as a very nervous owner with 5 laps to go.
Thinking his driver and car are going to make the playoffs.
And that's what the Xfinity Series is about. An owner like Scott Borchetta coming in and taking the fight to Joe Gibbs Racing, taking the fight to you, Junior at Junior Motorsports, Richard Childress Racing. That's what has built this Xfinity Series, is those teams like that. have a great deal of appreciation for Scott and owners just like him.
Creed, 11 seconds behind Nemechek, and Nemechek is 6.5 seconds in front of Jones still with under 4 laps to go. Now 3 remaining for John Hunter Nemechek. Steve, you've thrown that out there, the possibility of fuel. We had said at the beginning, fuel window was approximately 60 laps. They came to pit road right at 140. There was a caution lap or 2 there before the green flag came out, but that's right at that 60 laps.
Yeah, we haven't heard a lot of chatter out of most cars. We're hearing a little chatter that the 2 might have to come to pit road. We'll keep an eye on that. But the 48 seems to be confident in their fuel situation. The 20 is the same. Here's the 48 putting a little mini slider on the 21. Hand out the window saying thanks. I think the 21 has said, man, great job. We got the playoffs ahead. I'm going to start banking some good breaks. Hey, man, I'm going to help you on your stressful day. Remember me. Remember me when we get into the playoffs.
Yeah. Don't forget about what I just did there.
They don't ever remember.
They don't remember that kind of stuff, I'm sure.
1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank. John Hunter Nemechek has dominated this race from the end of stage 1 to where we're at right now in the final lap of stage 3. He is going to go on to lead 154 laps in today's race out of 200. In what was a caution-filled first 2/3, we'll go caution-free on a 50-lap green flag run to the checker, the longest green flag run by far today. Nemechek is going to win the race. He's going to get 7 playoff points for sweeping the stages and getting the race win. And he will end up finishing second in the regular season championship to Austin Hill. Hill will finish 5th and win the regular season title by 5 points over Nemechek. And of course, Parker Kligerman will get that final playoff spot on points with Brandon Jones in a must-win situation finishing second. And of course, Riley Herbst having multiple problems with that right front in the second half of the race today. Congratulations to both of those guys. You will get to listen to an interview from, of course, your race winner, John Hunter Nemechek. I'm sure they'll have something from Parker Kligerman as well. And any other top performers from today's race, you'll get to listen in for some interviews on that side of things. This is the 200th win for Toyota in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And John Hunter Nemechek, of course, the 200th here today. Average race speed, 104.69 miles per hour, 2 hours, 44 minutes, and 45 seconds to get this 300-mile, 200-lap race in. I mentioned Nemechek led 154 laps today. Justin Allgaier led 40 laps from the pole. And then 2 laps for Brandon Jones on restart with off-putting strategy. Sammy Smith led 1 lap on restart. And then the double zero of Cole Custer led 3 laps today, winning the race off of pit road on a caution flag pit stop early in the going. With those 5 different drivers leading the lap, we had 8 lead changes and again 10 cautions in today's race, 2 in the last stage, and a 50-lap green flag run to end things off, which was the longest green flag run of the day. Only 11 cars finished on the lead lap in this one. We'll go through the full field finishing order once we get a word from your winner of today's Kansas Lottery 300, John Hunter Nemechek. Up to 91 likes so far, so definitely be sure to hit that like button if you haven't done so yet on the stream. It's going to be the 6th race win of the season for Nemechek as he now leads the series by 2 over his championship foe, Austin Hill.
Motor Club. In 2024 run in the Cup Series, but he's got unfinished business in the Xfinity Series right now. A championship in front of him. His 6th win already in 2023, Kim.
And what a week it has been for John Hunter Nemechek. We get the news that he's going to be moving up to the Cup Series again in 2024, but he had some business to do here today. dominating fashion, getting your 6th win on the season. You win both stages, lead 154 laps. Is this what championship form looks like for this team? And does this make you the favorite?
I don't know if it makes us the favorite or not, but super proud of this whole 20 team. Joe Gibbs Racing. Man, it's been a week. It's been an exciting week, but super pumped to get Pi Barker Toyota GR Supra back in victory lane. This thing was as fast as Xfinity 10G today. Ben and all the guys made the right adjustments all day. They brought a really fast hot rod, and have to say hi to Tay, Aspen, and Penelope back home. I wish that they were here. We'll celebrate when I get home, but we have another name, someone who we lost to cancer, Tom Goddard, on our car this weekend. So special name for those that know, but overall just super pumped, super ecstatic. I'm looking forward to getting the playoffs started next week at Bristol. We came in here today trying to get the regular season championship, and I said that we were going to have a 60-point day this weekend, and that's what we did. We controlled what we can control, and we did everything that we possibly could. So let's go to the playoffs. I'm ready.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Big day for John Hunter Nemechek. Big day for Parker Kligerman. Dave has caught up with him.
And Kimmy told us a story earlier. His one word, if he got into the playoffs, was expected. Welcome to the playoffs.
Thank you very much. That's a very satisfying feeling. I was definitely the biggest John Hunter fan in the last run there. Seeing the 9 be so fast in that last run, but I'm really proud of this whole Big Machine Racing team. They brought a really good Spike Light Core Chevy, as we showed throughout this race, and we executed at a high level, and that's what I've seen us do for the last 12 weeks. I felt like if we could just get in the playoffs and we bring this going forward, we're going to go race for a championship. But thank you to Scott Borchetta, Sandy Borchetta, everyone who makes this possible. What an honor to get the first playoff berth for this race team. We had a special person on board, Beth Cunningham, who the Cunninghams mean a lot to me. She's battling cancer, but obviously having a Cunningham on board for a race car that had a big day. I know who was watching over me in the Cunningham family. So overall, just a really solid day where we executed a high level. And if we do that in the next, 8 weeks, we got a chance at this thing.
He has a chance to go deep. We'll see him working on pit road tomorrow. His side job, Rick, after winning 4th place today and into the playoffs.
Well, it's official.
We'll get a look at the playoff standings in a bit, but before that comes about, of course, we will go through the finishing order of today's race. John Hunter Nemechek gets a win. 7.5 seconds was his margin of victory over Brandon Jones, who finishes in 2nd. Sheldon Creed ends up finishing 3rd, Parker Kligerman 4th, and Austin Hill rounds out the top 5. In 6th place today was Josh Berry. 7th place ends up being Brett Moffitt. Derek Kraus finishes 8th, Joe Graff Jr. 9th, and Kaz Grotlo rounds out the top 10. Parker Retzlaff in 11th place was the last car in the lead lap. Jeb Burton ends up finishing at 12th, 1 lap down. Josh Williams at 13th. 14th place, Connor Mosack, and Jeremy Clements ends up 15th. Mason Massey with a 16th place finish. Ryan Ellison 17th. Justin Allgaier back up to 18th, 1 lap down. Matt Mills first car, 2 laps down in 19th. Kyle Sieg 20th. Dawson Cram 21st, 22nd. CJ McLaughlin. Riley Herbst with a rough 23rd place finish will not make the playoffs this season. Joey Gase 24th. Garrett Smithley 25th. Leland Honeyman 26th. Anthony Alfredo 27th, Brendan Poole 28th, Raja Karut 29th, and Ryan Sieg ends up 30th. Nick Lightson 31st, Chandler Smith 32nd, 33rd, Blaine Perkins. 34th place is going to be Daniel Hemrick, Sammy Smith 35th, Cole Custer 36th, Sam Mayer 37th, and Kyle Weatherman rounds out the 38-car field today. John Hunter Nemechek will be the number 1 seed in the playoffs, virtue of his playoff points, most stage wins, and most race wins this season. We'll start off with 49 playoff points when we begin the playoffs at Bristol next week for the round of 12 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Austin Hill is going to be the number 2 seed after winning the regular season championship here today. 2 less wins and a lot less stage wins on him is the reason why Nemechek will technically be the number 1 seed. Justin Allgaier will end up finishing 3rd in the regular season point standings. He will have 26 playoff points. 17 playoff points for Cole Custer. Sam Mayer will start off with 15 playoff points in 5th. 6th place in the standings to start the playoffs will be Chandler Smith, Josh Berry in 7th, and Sheldon Creed will be the last driver above the cutoff line to begin the round of 12 at Bristol. He will be 2 points to the good over Sammy Smith and Jeb Burton. Daniel Hemrick is going to be minus 5 points, and Parker Kligerman will come up as the number 12 seed after locking himself in today with 1 stage win on the season, finishing 10th in points, getting a playoff point there. He'll have 2 playoff points, minus 6 points to start at Bristol. Bristol, Texas, and the Charlotte Roval will be the 3 races of the round of 12 for the Xfinity Series. So that is a look at the playoff grid. And, of course, we already got our interviews with Parker Kligerman and John Hurt-Nemechek. We went through the full field finishing order. And most of these race stats. Got an interview with Austin Hill, your regular season champion, as well. Rewinding it so I can get the full interview. I don't think I'm going to be able to, unfortunately.
On this 21 car today, but I mean, you know, us getting the regular season championship just shows that you know, no matter how tough the battle is and how tough the uphill climb is, we never give up. We keep fighting. Guys did an awesome job on pit road on gaining me spots. That helped our situation, and we just had to go out there and just salvage what we could. But going into the playoffs, we have a lot of work to do to catch up to that 20. He was class of the field today, and so we got to be better come Bristol time. Congrats on the regular season win. Rick, what's the old adage? How good do you make your bad days? They made something out of this.
Well, it's going to be a great championship fight, and I can't wait for that to start. It's all happening next week. But before the Xfinity Series gets there, the Cup Series has the second race of the playoffs, and that is tomorrow on USA. Countdown to Green kicks us off at 2:30.
So there we have it. So the NASCAR website, good for the truck and the Cup Series start times this weekend. For some reason, the Xfinity Series is a little off today. But I will see you back a better than ever again tomorrow. We'll have a 3 p.m. Eastern Standard start time for that NASCAR Cup Series stream. And it will be the second race of the round of 16 of the playoffs at the Kansas Speedway. Should be a good one. I thought the spring race at Kansas was probably the best race of the season. Maybe we double down on that and have the best race of the season once again at Kansas so far this year. We're at 97 likes. We're just 3 away from our goal of 100, so we'll actually stay right here on the channel and on this live stream until we get 3 more likes. So everybody, if you have not done so, hit that like button, and then we will come to a close this afternoon. Once again, a reminder, I will be at Bristol next weekend for all of the weekend's events. For the ARCA truck on Thursday, Xfinity race Friday, and then the Cup Series race on Saturday night. So there will be race highlight videos from the grandstands for next week, but no live commentary streams. You can check out some of the other race highlights from the grandstand videos that I've uploaded from other races I've been to over the last couple of seasons to kind of get a feel for what those videos will be like next weekend at Bristol. I actually uploaded some from the Bristol night race in 2021, so that could be a good thing to go back and look at for those races I was there for that race weekend. You'll see similar videos of that next week. We're 2 more likes away. 2 more likes away from 100, as we are now at 98. Once again, 98 likes. We need 2 more likes. Come on, guys. We ain't leaving yet. I want to watch my Michigan Wolverines stomp UNLV. Sorry for any UNLV fans out there. My dog's got to go potty, too, so even though I just took her out, what was that, with like 50 to go in the race or something like that? 70 to go in the race. Let me take my dog out. Hit the like button. Get to 2 likes. Still stuck at 98. I mean, it's possible that everybody watching has hit it. I'd like to think that that's not the case. Come on, people. Smash that like button. Also, don't forget to set your fantasy lineups for tomorrow if you are in the KRC League. Did pick Michigan even beat... Well, I mean, they were playing a really... Well, I wouldn't say a not-so-good team, just a lot smaller school. So there was kind of a no-brainer that they were going to win. Same for Ohio State earlier today. Oh, somebody unliked the stream. We were at 99 and somebody unliked it. And now we're right back down to 98 again. Somebody hit the dislike button on me. Why? Because I haven't ended the stream yet? Usually when we wait at the end of the stream like this, we're a couple likes away and we end up getting it. Like within the first few seconds and I don't have to wait very long. We've actually waited around here for an extra couple minutes. Promote your league on your fairly new podcast. There you go. Tyler Bonifant, thanks for tuning in. Oh my gosh, somebody hit the... That's twice now. Somebody hit the dislike button again. We're back to 99 likes. We're at 99. We went to 99, back to 98, then to 99, back to 98, and now back to 99 again. Now we're at 100. There we go. We're at 100. I'm going to end the stream before somebody hits the dislike again. Appreciate everybody for tuning in here today. Hopefully you enjoyed both last night's stream and tonight's stream. I'll see you back better than ever again tomorrow for the Cup side at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a good rest of your Saturday evening, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow.